So we are dropping into the ultimate dungeon, the Abyss of the End, a global hit game set in a post-nuclear wasteland, where humanity's last hope are genetically engineered new humans, whose whole job is to wipe out the mutant hordes on the surface. But even high-level players are just grinding through daily monster hunts, until the game company drops a huge new event for everyone, throwing players into the uncharted and insanely dangerous Abyss dungeon, where even the top-ranked cannot survive an hour in the first zone. This rewards are massive, but just showing up is a death sentence, and one player realizes the boss they heard about is way worse. Turns out this giant monster is not the boss, just its pet, a minor detail. Then a new crew arrives, riding a freaking Cerberus of hell. Their leader, Zhang Fanggu, calls the players lunatics for being there, before immediately deciding it is time for massacre mode. This guy just blitzes through the players in a total wipeout, and he is absolutely loving this, calls it a wave of free kills. His teammates show up, annoyed he did not share the kills, while another, Laria, complains they interrupted her afternoon tea priorities people. She then declares they deserve to be beaten to death repeatedly. This last one just suggests they eat the players to recharge. His crew debates the finer points of player farming, some want to eat, others just want to play. So Zhang Fanggu just decides to wipe out every single player, starting with the top rankers. But then he has a sudden existential crisis. Wait, I am the villain here. And we flash back to a time when he was just an ordinary college student. Ordinary apparently means getting cornered by some low-rent bullies for lunch money, with the red-headed leader trying way too hard to look intimidating, who then gets right up in Zhang Fanggu's face, practically begging for a fight. Until he is immediately distracted by some girls walking past, a true intellectual. Except one of them is a teacher who threatens to send them to the hospital for bullying her student, and the goons quickly realize they messed with people who have connections. So they tuck tail and run, promising revenge later, of course, while the teacher asks Zhang Fanggu why he did not just fight back. But our boy just gives a calm smile, asking if they needed something. Just as another friend shows up, relieved he is not actually in trouble. And finally, the pink-haired girl, Yuding, arrives, having been the one to call for help. So Zhang Fanggu gives her a gentle pat on the head as thanks, which makes her blush, thinking he is the kindest person in the world. Her internal monologue, however, is a detailed plan for stabbing those bullies, yikes, while he remains blissfully unaware of her homicidal devotion, just laughing it off. And she reminds him they are a team, needing to game hard for his dad's medical bills. His friend offers to pay for his dad's medical bills, but Zhang Fanggu cheerfully turns her down, saying he has got a job, shouting back that he will handle the money himself, leaving her stunned. This teacher then scolds the girl for her aggressive recruitment tactics, who admits she is just after his top-tier gaming skills, convinced he is the only one who can lead them through the abyss. Even saying his control is on par with the server's one player, Rebellion Kid. In fact, she assures Zhang Fanggu is even stronger than that legend. With that, the girls all run off, hyped for more dungeon runs, while Zhang Fanggu is back in reality, calculating surgery costs, and on the phone with his mom, he promises he will get the money. Flashing back to his dad's accident that left them buried in debt, he has been grinding part-time jobs for months just to scrape by. Hoping this next payment will finally give them some breathing room, his gaze falls on his VR headset and he misses the escape of the game. So he decides to log in, getting a prompt for his low-level alt, and he hesitates for a moment, feeling a bit guilty, before pulling up his real account, the LV99 Rebellion Kid. In a flash of light, the legend drops back into the digital world. Because our boy Zhang Fanggu is secretly the top player on the entire server. And yeah, Rebellion Kid is level 99 with completely maxed out stats, because he made a low-level alt just to play with his friends without revealing he is the server's #1, who he is pretty sure would absolutely murder him if they ever found out. And after half a year away, he is surprised to see a new message waiting, which turns out to be a welcome back challenge offering a massive cash prize. His first thought is that it is a phishing scam because who just gives away money? But then he remembers his dad's medical bills, and suddenly the risk seems worth it. So with nothing to lose, he smashes that yes button, only to get zapped by a massive bolt of energy from the game itself, as his character dissolves into data and gets pulled into the abyss for real, waking up in some creepy vine-infested room, totally confused. And he touches his face, realizing he can actually feel things now. Which leads to the classic question, is this a hyper-realistic update or did he get ice-guyed? His eyes glow a menacing purple, definitely not a standard feature, and a look at his reflection confirms the worst, he is a freaking zombie kid. This system then cheerfully informs him he is now a low-class rotting larva for the villain faction, showing off his new level 1 stats, a truly spectacular fall from grace. Apparently the new humans have been busy wiping out all the mutants on the surface. So his new job is to fight for the survival of the monster race against the players, leaving Zhang Fanggu completely stunned that the game's entire alignment has flipped while he was gone. Zhang Fanggu immediately panics, realizing he is now a squishy monster in a world full of players with rocket launchers, and the system drops the bomb. He is trapped here until he saves the entire wasteland, while his dad's surgery is right around the corner. But there is a twist. If he wins, he returns to his exact moment in time, keeping all the loot and power. Our boy starts connecting the dots, realizing this game is way too real for comfort, and the horrible truth sinks in, he's been ice-guyed into an actual post-apocalyptic world. His first quest is to kill a level 32 monster, a gentle warm-up for a level 1 larva. He absolutely loses it, the level gap is suicide, and he is supposed to save mutants by killing them. A handy rulebook explains that mutants he kills just respawn, while player kills are permanent, giving him a convenient XP farm. Apparently, beating up his fellow mutants just makes them like him more, a management style he can get behind. Then comes the ultimatum: accept this suicide mission or be deleted from existence, no pressure. A flashback to his dad in the hospital reminds him exactly what is at stake. With that motivation, Zhang Fanggu steels his resolve to grab that prize money. He recalls his glory days as the server's top player, ready for a new challenge from the villain's side. For a pro like him, this is not a death trap, it is an adrenaline rush. He is all in. With a sarcastic good luck, the system boots him into an abandoned city building to fend for himself. He notices it is peak gaming hours, yet there are no players anywhere nearby. Based on the environment, he deduces he is deep underground in a high-level zone, the abyss of the end. This presence of powerful reavers nearby pretty much confirms his location. We get a glimpse of the abyss, a former high-tech human shelter now overrun by monsters. After humans fled to the surface, these massive underground cities became the perfect breeding ground for the mutant faction. Zhang Fanggu quickly deduces the abyss runs on survival of the fittest, where even the entrance is crawling with high-level reavers, and other zones are basically hell mode death traps for players. Using his old game knowledge, he sees he is surrounded by elite monsters, and remembers clearing this place with max gear, a far cry from his current squishy self. This sheer terror of being a level 1 larva in a max-level zone starts to sink in, right before a giant shadow monster with glowing red eyes pops up behind him. With nowhere to run, our boy decides to switch from panic to pro-gamer mode, just as a high-heeled foot smashes down nearby, announcing a new arrival. It is a level 55 female reaver, a monster type he has never even seen before, who immediately spots another creature lurking in the ruins, and she is absolutely not happy to have company. Her target is a level 48 stalker, another new female variant. So Zhang Fanggu realizes they are fighting over territory, not just hunting for food. This reaver is not following a simple patrol AI, she is a thinking, sentient creature, who proves to be way smarter and deadlier than her in-game counterparts. But our boy sees an opportunity in this new, complex behavior, as the reaver easily overpowers and defeats her rival. With the stalker's HP hitting 0, the fight is over in an instant, so Zhang Fanggu summons a mini-bike and taunts the victor. Time for a little chaos. This reaver absolutely loses her mind, roaring in pure rage, and she is now in hot pursuit of our tiny gremlin on a tricycle. But Zhang Fanggu knows his speed advantage is a joke against her massive strides. So his whole plan is to make a special delivery, leading her right where he wants her. Her fancy heel hits the trigger plate perfectly, and with that he springs his little surprise, sending her plummeting straight down into a hidden pit. He explains that these safe spots are where the game devs always hide the deadliest traps, which in this case means a giant, angry nest of paralysis wasps. A quick scan confirms they are level 45 with a nasty venom shock ability. And from his perch, Zhang Fanggu smugly wishes her a fun little torture session. This reaver immediately gets swarmed, zapped by paralyzing stings, but our boy knows this trap alone will not be enough to kill her. Instead of panicking, she just starts eating the wasps, a total power move. He figures she will lose about half her health before the paralysis wears off. With her HP bar dropping and debuffs stacking, it is time for phase 2. A quick whistle summons his secret weapon, a couple of cute puppies, except one of them immediately transforms into a giant snarling monster Shiba. So Zhang Fanggu just hops on, grabbing the scruff of its neck, and now he is charging in on a battle corgi ready to finish the job. Zhang Fanggu unleashes a wild dog bash right on the reaver, who is now down to her last HP, completely stunned and paralyzed. Perched on his battle Shiba, he declares it is time to end this, then leaps into the air for a dramatic finishing blow, bringing a metal pipe crashing down right on her skull. A system message confirms the target is officially eliminated, and he gives his new zombie pup Wangzai a well-deserved pat. Our boy recalls how zombies and their dogs have a natural bond in this world, thankful that this time he is actually on the good boy team. This little zombie kid and his giant monster dog are officially partners, with Zhang Fanggu admitting he never could have won with his squishy larva body alone. With the mission complete, a massive level-up screen appears, evolving him from a larva to a juvenile and granting a new shapeshift skill, which seems to give him a cool new humanish look, claws still included. But the real prize is that the reaver he just killed is now his loyal servant, leaving Zhang Fanggu completely baffled by this game's unique reward system. His focus shifts to the gold, realizing he can convert it to real cash for his dad, and the system dangles the next reward: base construction. Completing the mission unlocks a secret base, the Hope Citadel, and he is immediately teleported away with his dog to the new location. Zhang Fanggu lands with a thud, totally disoriented by the instant teleport, but then something clicks in his memory. He is staring at the legendary Hope Citadel, a place that was just game lore. A quick history lesson explains this was humanity's last bastion before it all went wrong, which eventually fell and became the monster-infested abyss he was just in. This system confirms this fixer-upper is now his personal base with upgrades pending, promising it'll become the ultimate mutant stronghold under his command. And for a little extra motivation, the final mission reward is waiting inside. But he is still suspicious of this reward until Wangzai picks up a scent, leading Zhang Fanggu to a discovery that leaves him absolutely speechless. This grand prize is a girl floating unconscious in a giant test tube, and our boy just loses it, calling the system out for its totally shameless reward scheme. Meanwhile, back in the real world, one of his gamer friends is taking a break, just chilling in her messy room after a workout. She glances at a photo of her old guild, including Zheng Fangu's alt account. Before deciding to strap on her headset and log back into the game, her character, Little Yo-Yu, materializes in the gleaming player hub New Eden, walking through the crowded streets a world away from Zheng Fangu's wasteland. Suddenly, she stops in her tracks, standing before a quest board that is practically begging players to go hunt some monsters. Little Yo-Yu is feeling nostalgic, wishing her old friend was still around. Remembering the good old days with her guild, including Zheng Fangu's alt, and she is practically drooling over virtual food, lamenting that her personal loot grinder is gone. Right on cue, a pop-up offers her a real taste experience of in-game food, a free gameplay test that sounds way too good to be true. Back in the wasteland, Zheng Fangu reveals this is exactly how the system got him, thinking back on his old teammates, a bunch of total sweethearts. And he decides the easiest one to lure into this mess is the foodie Zai Siu. His whole plan started just 10 minutes ago, when he asked the system how to get a pilot for his new test tube girl, which explains she's just an empty shell needing a player's consciousness to run. But there is a catch: the new player is trapped until the final mission is done. Zheng Fangu absolutely loses it, not wanting to drag someone else into his personal hell. Until the system clarifies their real body is safe, it is just their mind getting ice-guyed, and they will also return to their exact moment in time, which makes him feel a little better. This system then dangles another shameless reward, promising a whole zombie army, which is so over the top our boy gets a nosebleed and tells it to get on with the plot. So he sits down to scheme, wondering how to bait his friend without just using food. And then the invite gets accepted. He is stunned that tricking a foodie was actually that easy. With that, Little Yo-Yu's consciousness begins linking to the female zombie body. Little Yo-Yu materializes in the tube, totally amazed by the realism of this new version, and Zheng Fangu greets her from a very strategic angle, welcoming her to the team. This penny drops hard when she realizes she is now a zombie child, so her immediate reaction is to scream and launch herself out of the tank, swinging a clawed hand right at the kid who tricked her. Zheng Fangu, however, just casually flips right over her attack, and after she lands, he is already behind her, completely untouched. Yo-Yu is stunned by his incredible speed, but she just winds up for another furious strike, ignoring his pleas to wait. In response, our boy activates his new shapeshifting skill, his arm twisting into a gnarly purple blade shield, and he braces for impact with a cocky grin. Her attack smashes right into his new arm shield, getting completely stonewalled, which sends her flying backward from the sheer force of the block. A system message confirms he has unlocked a will-based transformation skill, letting him make any body part a weapon. So standing over her, he smugly tells her to take a look at herself, and she turns to see the empty test tube she just escaped from. Her reflection confirms the awful truth: she is a zombie now. This shock finally sets in as she stares at her new, not-so-human body, while Zheng Fangu extends a hand, declaring this fallen city their new base and her his first recruit. Zheng Fangu explains his master recruitment pitch, a tragic sob story about the mutant clan, but the real clincher was promising free food, a bribe she simply could not refuse. This system rewards him for successfully tricking a player with gold and some very cultured outfits. And a new quest pops up, basically demanding he get her into one of these getups. He knows this system is a total degenerate, but it swears the outfits boost combat power. So he presents the special gear as a vital tool for their glorious mutant revolution. Yo-Yu, ever the gamer, is just excited for a cool new costume and agrees instantly. And after equipping the schoolgirl uniform, she immediately feels the promised power-up. Zheng Fangu gives a smug thumbs up, seeing his new soldier is shaping up nicely. Completing the quest gets him a pathetic 5 gold, but raises her affection, teasing a future fusion skill. She is still thinking he is just a super realistic NPC, while our boy is losing his mind internally, until a very real hunger pang hits her, something that definitely should not happen in a game. Right on cue, Zheng Fangu offers her the local cuisine, Raider Tentacle Skewers. And the smell is so good she is immediately ready to dig into her first mutant clan meal. She absolutely demolishes the food with a terrifyingly long tongue. Zombie table manners need work, while our boy begs her to share, but her new food-guarding instincts are way too intense. Suddenly, she feels a strange jolt of power coursing through her body, as sharp red appendages burst right out of her back, catching her completely by surprise. A system window confirms the snack just triggered an evolution, granting her a new tentacle strike ability. And now she is standing there with monstrous new limbs, wondering what the hell just happened. Zheng Fangu connects the dots: eating specific monsters must be how zombies get new skills, and the system confirms Yo-Yu has a special foodie build for rapid growth, making him instantly jealous. For helping her evolve, a new quest drops: conquer a zombie nest and defeat its current lord. Their destination is a sprawling, overgrown ruin, a whole new biome to explore, and they arrive at the zombie nest, a creepy forest growing right through the city. Apparently, the outskirts are a zombie food court littered with leftovers from animal kills. Inside, they find a surprisingly organized clan of zombies, not just mindless wanderers, who are even lining up for mealtime, which is just bizarrely civilized for the undead. A butcher zombie with a chainsaw carves up a fresh kill while nurse zombies assist. This is a whole society. Then things get really weird. They are farming a captured human woman for nutrition. This one in charge is a former human researcher, now a zombie, getting some seriously twisted revenge. As a new kid, Zheng Fangu is shoved into line for his turn at the milk bottle. He is forced to drink the stuff, looking absolutely mortified by the whole experience. But a system pop-up reveals it boosted his intelligence, explaining this clan's smarts. Suddenly, a tall female zombie grabs him, demanding to know what he is doing here, only to tell him he is a teenager and way too old to be in the baby food line. Dodging that bullet, he spots Yoyu waiting for her proper meat ration, feeling a little relieved. Just then, a huge announcement echoes through the nest. The Lord is back. Massive gates creak open as two hulking zombies pull on giant chains. And their target, the zombie lord, makes her grand entrance on a monstrous beast. This zombie lord and her top lieutenants are a seriously intimidating crew, and the system confirms these are not game mobs, they are real one-of-a-kind beings, which Zhang Fenggu connects to the numbered tattoos, realizing this is a whole faction war, kicking off a massive lore dump about the Hope Citadel's secret genetics lab, where scientists tried to cure mutation but only made the zombies way more violent, leading to a catastrophic breakout that took the lead researcher with it. Their brilliant solution was to blame male zombie hormones and switch to torturing female subjects, showing one poor soul, A03, chained up and pumped full of God knows what. And it gets worse, they were performing live dissections on her, even stitching zombies to other creatures in twisted fusion experiments. But all this failure accidentally produced a super serum, which created humans who were immune to the virus and incredibly strong, giving birth to the elite fighting force known as the New Humans, whose first job was to hunt down all the other mutant abominations. But they totally missed that the lead researcher, now Zombie S00, also got a dose, making her the first zombie to evolve intelligence with perfect memory of every horror she endured, and all that trauma and rage triggered a monstrous transformation, letting her break free, consume the other zombies, and become the lab's new master. So the New Humans were sent in to stop her, sparking an all-out war. But even these super soldiers were no match for the original vengeful zombie lord. This zombie lord's rage-fueled transformation was just getting started, and even the New Humans could not land a single lasting hit on her, because all the other escaped experiments got a taste of that super serum too, forcing the humans to just nuke the entire city in a desperate retreat. After that, the zombie lord simply vanished into the wasteland, a total ghost. Zhang Fenggu processes this insane lore dump, realizing humanity's official history is a complete sham, and he figures out the key difference. These zombies can evolve, unlike the game's static mobs. Just then, his internal monologue gets interrupted. He has been spotted, as a winged lieutenant looms over him, calling him out for his weird, scheming smile. She gets right in his face, threatening to gouge his eyes out on suspicion of being human, but a red tentacle whips past her in a flash, and the Lieutenant S01 whirls around, completely caught off guard. It is little Yoyu swooping in to defend her NPC friend with her new limbs. But instead of a fight, S01 is actually impressed by her loyalty and new powers. This zombie lord herself appears, congratulating her lieutenant Lai Ying on a job well done, explaining their special diet is supercharging the new generation's evolution. With that, the lord announces the next phase, a brutal survival training exercise, and Zhang Fenggu is relieved since Yoyu's bold entrance just earned them some serious respect. A creepy button-eyed zombie explains the rules, a month-long death game in the forest. Our boy stares into the woods, realizing this survival test is set to absolute hell mode. One of the lieutenants questions the lord's training, since it has a 90% mortality rate, but the lord immediately shuts her down, asking if she is questioning orders. She lays out the grim logic: this death game is better than being captured by the New Humans, which is a nice way of saying they will turn you into a living battery. Meanwhile, in a completely different plotline, a lightning-powered guy is raging about a captured doctor, and this ghost-eye sniper is whining that his vision skill is useless now. Elsewhere, another faction leader with a massive chainsaw sword notes the zombies are evolving way too fast. So of course, the sniper guy immediately tries to pick a fight with her, but she just casually parries his attack, mocking him for being so easy to trigger. Now holding two giant chainsaws, she is more than happy to throw down for old time's sake, until their little power struggle gets cut short by a giant metal fist. A hulking dude called Iron Man breaks it up, reminding them that death in this world is permanent, and another guy in gold armor, the rebellious one, agrees with the big guy. This is apparently a whole council of players, all here with one goal in mind. And their leader, sitting on a skull throne, confirms world domination is the official agenda. Back with Zhang Fenggu, he realizes the captive woman is a player and the zombies were smart enough to blind her. But a wider shot reveals the horrifying truth. The captured player is also very, very pregnant. Our boy is having a major logic error. Pregnancy is not a game feature, and why cannot she just log out? Then the gears start turning as he realizes this captive might be incredibly useful. After the lord leaves, the zombies are herded off to start the survival game. No more free lunch. This winged lieutenant lays down the law for their little survival training, giving a quick rundown of the month-long death game in the spooky forest, and her one final, super ominous warning is to stay away from the center. Zhang Fenggu immediately complains they got zero survival tips, just a one-way ticket to the afterlife. Suddenly, a new kid pops out, getting right in their personal space. Introducing himself as Li Baba, a martial artist before he, died, he wants to team up, but Zhang Fenggu hits him with the "we are antisocial" defense, because internally he is just worried about splitting Yoyu's food supply with a stranger. This kid seems to read his mind, promising he will not be a burden, then reveals he has got a petrification ability, which is a pretty solid resume builder. Our boy's gears start turning, realizing this new guy could be their tank. So he agrees, immediately appoints himself team captain, and the kid just rolls with it. As they head out, Zhang Fenggu tries to get a proper team meeting going, but no one's listening, and the system throws him 250 gold for making a friend, because of course it does. Meanwhile, another team of zombies strolls in, led by a guy who is way too confident, who tells his terrified crew not to worry right before a giant tongue snatches one of his girls. Turns out the outer forest is home to a massive frog monster that other zombies use for bait, and that overconfident crew gets absolutely demolished in seconds, becoming a quick snack for the local wildlife, a brutal welcome to the games. A map reveals this whole place is a tiered death trap, with Area 1 being the designated feeding ground. Zhang Fenggu quickly lays out the zone rules. Area 2 is where the weak get eaten, right as a giant lizard shark gives chase. They find a brief moment of peace in Area 3, which is apparently safer because even bigger monsters live next door. And at the absolute top of this nightmare food chain is the legendary multi-headed King of Thorns. Climbing a massive tree, our boy realizes this whole forest is basically unreleased DLC, even for a veteran like him. This team wisely sticks to the canopy, since the forest floor is just a river of hungry shadow creatures. After finding a safe spot, they begin their training montage with Lee Baba pulverizing a mutated rat. Yo-Yu gets in on the action, using her new tentacle whips to dismantle a vicious piranha monster. Not to be left out, Zhang Fenggu uses his psychic constructs to take down a mutated porcupine. This system rewards their grind with cash, some questionable gourmet meals, and a brand new spike attribute for his skills. With the warm-up over, they immediately graduate to hunting much bigger game like a hulking mutant ape. Their teamwork is surprisingly effective as they coordinate a three-pronged assault on the beast, and with a final combined push, the massive creature comes crashing down. Another loot screen pops up, granting him a gigantification skill because of course it does. They grind efficiently all day, deciding that fighting whatever comes out at night is a terrible, terrible idea. Around the campfire, the others are just blown away by Zhang Fenggu's sudden 5-star cooking abilities. Li Baba just assumes it is stolen tech, and our boy happily lets him believe it, saves a lot of explaining. That special foodie build kicks in for Yu, whose tentacles suddenly sprout a horrifying number of new mouths. Meanwhile, Li Baba gets his own post-meal power-up, glowing with energy as his petrification skill levels up. He tests out the upgrade by punching a crater into the ground, showing a massive jump in destructive power. Hiding out in a cave, Zhang Fenggu feels his own power growing as the newly formed team rests after a very productive first day. Zhang Fenggu chills for a second, wondering why his level and stats suddenly disappeared, and the system basically says, "Congrats, you are in the real world now, numbers are for games." Which just confirms his theory. No level caps means his potential is literally infinite. He has already been testing out his new spike attribute, feeling pretty confident, right before a giant mosquito woman tries to impale him with her own much bigger spike. While he is dodging, the system drops a brand new quest, solo a flame tiger before dawn. This thing apparently evolved a humanoid form just to lure prey, which is a terrifyingly smart upgrade. Annoyed at the timing, he decides this tiger hunt is the perfect way to test his new skills anyway. Using the terrain he memorized during the day, he zips through the deadly nighttime forest, and after some slick parkour, he finally lands near his target's territory. He finds the flame tiger's den, a massive cave glowing with heat, knowing this is gonna be loud. Out comes the beast, except it is now twice the size he remembers from the game. And our boy realizes that in a real world, the monsters get to evolve too. This tiger's speed is off the charts, forcing him onto the defensive immediately. Their first clash is a massive shockwave, proving this thing is on a whole other level. His psychic blades cannot even scratch its hide, which is a pretty major problem. So it is time to try something new, morphing his arms into massive bladed weapons. He then activates gigantification, turning his new claws into building-sized shears, giving us a classic monster movie stare-down before the final impact. Zhang Fenggu brings the colossal blades down in a devastating scissor strike right on the tiger's head. This massive scissor strike connects, engulfing the tiger's den in a huge explosion. But the beast is still standing, only slightly annoyed that its fur got singed. In fact, its wounds are already regenerating, the flesh knitting back together instantly. And now it is glowing with rage, its flame aura cranked up to 11. Zhang Fenggu is blown back, realizing this thing's healing factor is completely broken, while the tiger just gives him a smug look that says, "My turn." Just as he is about to despair, our boy remembers he's got one last trick up his sleeve, and he channels all his remaining power into a final desperate attack, using a new skill. Elasticity, he morphs his arm into a spinning psychic drill, which he launches directly at the supersized monster's head. And it actually works, completing the quest and dropping a ton of loot. His new skills include Beast Tongue, so now he can get lectured by animals before he kills them. He lets out a sigh of relief, finally able to relax after a very stressful solo mission. That peace lasts about 2 seconds before the entire cave starts collapsing on top of him, as a claw the size of a truck smashes down from the ceiling. Turns out he did not just kill a random monster, he killed the kid and now the whole family's home. This entire tiger clan is here for a little chat about what he did to their son, and Papa Tiger starts charging up a revenge fireball to end the conversation early. But just as he is about to fire, another tiger leaps in, screaming she will save him, by brutally impaling him from behind, which is a very questionable rescue tactic. This family reunion gets weird as the new tiger immediately betrays and attacks the old one. And Zhang Fenggu just watches the chaos, wondering how many more boss fights are on the schedule today. He is mostly just bummed he has to destroy such valuable monster parts for a mission, a true capitalist. Now he is facing down a whole trio of elemental tiger gods, fire, ice, and lightning. Out of nowhere, another white-haired dude with a giant blade shows up to crash the party, who then summons a massive, tentacle-wrapped rock wall, splitting the battlefield in two. With the humans partitioned off, the lightning and ice tigers go right back to trying to murder each other, their clash shattering the very ground beneath them in a flash of light, sending both beasts flying back from the raw power of their own attacks. These two are left completely stunned, having absolutely no clue what is going on anymore. Looking down, Zhang Fanggu reveals this was his plan all along, calling them ingredients for his hot pot. And just like that, he gets a massive loot drop, absorbing their thunder, ice, and metal attributes. His skill tree is now officially ridiculous, with more add-ons than a fast food order. A month passes, and our team has clearly mastered life in the killer forest. Back at the entrance, the silver-haired lieutenant assumes every single zombie has been wiped out. While her winged partner agrees, admitting she'd lost hope for those two little brats. She even recalls a strange vision of Yoyu's true form but dismissed it as nothing. At that exact moment, Yoyu snaps awake, sensing a powerful presence deep in the woods. This lieutenants feel it too, wondering if a survivor is actually approaching. It is Yoyu, alright, except she has had a serious evolution and is now marked as a T02 model. Yoyu feels it first, a presence so overwhelming it could paralyze you with fear, and her new, terrifyingly elegant final form is on full display, which is enough to startle even the normally unflappable Lieutenant Zio, whose crew is just as confused about what could possibly rattle their boss. Another lieutenant, a brawler type, spots movement coming from the forest, as something massive carves a path of destruction straight through the trees. Before a spiky, draconic body erupts from the ground itself, it is the legendary King of Thorns, and it has brought the entire monster horde with it. But the lieutenants notice this is not a rampage, it is an organized procession. Zio connects the dots with a smirk. They are escorting their new king home, and riding on the back of this final boss is our team, leading a literal army of monsters, with Zhang Fanggu looking like he was born for the job, much to everyone's shock. This lieutenants cannot believe it, admitting they totally underestimated the rookies, and now Zio is officially intrigued by this promising little punk. So intrigued, in fact, she decides to fly down and test the new king herself, preparing a massive attack as she dives straight for the dragon's head. But the Thorn King charges right back, ready to defend its new master, and Li Baba leaps off to intercept, ready to show off his one-month grind. He unleashes a fully powered petrification fist, a massive cannon of an attack, which she meets with a fiery counter, impressed he got this strong so fast. Zio easily deflects his punch, mocking that he is not even close to her level, and their clash erupts in a massive pillar of light, tearing the ground apart, leaving Li Baba face down in a crater, looking like a half-finished statue. But before she can gloat, Yoyu dives in with her own furious assault. Her tentacles lashing out as the lieutenant notes she is faster than the last guy. Seeing her friends get wrecked has Yoyu absolutely seeing red, so she unleashes a full-power energy blast, screaming that it is unforgivable. This attack actually lands, encasing Zio in a spiky purple cocoon, and Yoyu just stands there, wondering if that was really all it took. This scene then cuts to a chibi fantasy of her playing with her new cocoon toy, which is adorable. Of course, the shell immediately shatters, revealing a much more demonic version of the lieutenant, who just gives a smug little grin, completely unimpressed. She counters with a hypnotic soundwave, calling out Yoyu's lack of strategy, knocking her out cold before catching her midair for a forced nap. That is when Zhang Fanggu finally steps in, blocking her path in a new draconic form. Holding the unconscious girl, Zio notes he's been waiting for his turn, and gently places Yoyu next to Li Baba, claiming she did not hit them too hard. With no more interruptions, she grins, ready for the main event to finally begin. Zhang Fanggu powers up, his aura flaring with intense purple energy, and in his full monster form, he is told to use everything he has got. This is the real test. Zio suggests a change of scenery for their fight, and Zhang Fanggu is more than happy to oblige. Zipping through the air so fast the other lieutenants can barely even track them, and their clash is just a chaotic blur of purple and red energy across the sky, with every single strike sending out massive shockwaves, until Zio smirks, announcing that the warm-up is officially over. She unleashes her Hell Demon Seal, getting way more serious and a lot more spiky, her form shifting into a hulking demonic powerhouse crackling with raw energy. And towering over him, she unleashes the so-called power of the night, which results in an explosion that probably registered on a seismograph. She smirks, saying he's got potential but needs a good thrashing to learn his place. But Zhang Fanggu just catches her giant fist with one hand, telling her she has got it all wrong. He is not here to be her student, blasting her back with a massive energy beam, an attack that sends her crashing headfirst into the dirt. Not a great look for a lieutenant. Our boy looms over her, eyes glowing, ready to drop a little lesson of his own, his aura flaring up into a silhouette of pure, unrestrained power. He's not a follower, he is a leader, unleashing the power of the dragon, revealing his brand new Thorn Dragon King armor form, and all that training for the past month is about to pay off in one devastating attack. He fires off a dragon's roar, a massive beam of pure draconic energy. And Zio recognizes it instantly, realizing he is using the Thorn King's own power. Zio is completely floored, wondering how this kid is using her own power against her. And just like that, the mighty lieutenant is on her knees, forced to admit she lost. Zhang Fanggu powers down, telling her she will be a monster in the future, but today's not her day. Then he drops the ultimate power move, offering her a new job as one of his commanders. She is absolutely furious, insisting she only lost because she let her guard down, a likely story. Our boy just smirks, adding that he only used a tenth of his strength to win. This little tidbit of information completely shatters her composure, so much so that her demonic form poofs away, revealing a tiny chibi version of herself. A quick status check confirms his skill list is now officially ridiculous. And he scoops up the tiny ex-lieutenant, who now suspects he is some kind of magic corpse. This triggers a flashback of her old leader and trusting her to lead the others, with the little demon Zio Fu begging her not to leave them all alone. But the woman just walked away, forcing the leadership role onto her. Back in the present, Zio Fu realizes this new guy is way stronger and could give them a real chance, so she formally bows, asking her new lord to please lead them. This system immediately makes it official, declaring him the new lord of the zombie horde. With business settled, she asks the million-dollar question: how did he even beat the Thorn Dragon? Zhang Fenggu just grumbles that the whole thing was a setup by the dam system. He flashes back to beating the Tiger family, which got him a ton of loot boxes and new skills, only for the system to trigger a hidden quest to kill a dragon in 24 hours, because of course it did. His secret weapon was not skill, it was pure gacha luck from a loot box, a whole stack of clone cards. He explains that to beat the dragon, he just ripped open all 6 blind boxes at once. And just like that, he summoned an entire squad of himself ready to go. Facing the Thorn Dragon, he admits one of him would get wrecked, but 7 of him is a different story. His clone army, all decked out in draconic armor, prepares for the ultimate beatdown. And turns out he works perfectly with himself, unleashing a perfectly coordinated attack. Who knew? The dragon distracted, Yu and Li Baba jumped in to help wrap things up fast. But right at the critical moment, his clones started to despawn, their time limit expiring. So Li Baba offers the only logical solution: boss, use me as a weapon. Even Zio Li the bird gets in on the action, transforming into a massive stone golem, which Zhang Fenggu then uses as a living hammer for one final decisive blow. With a single, earth-shattering swing, he knocks the dragon out cold. And the system declares him the winner, granting him control of the Thorn King and its entire forest. After the fight, the defeated dragon pledges its loyalty, officially joining the team. Back in the present, he just tells Zio Yu they hit it off and became friends, a master of understatement. Meanwhile, in some industrial complex, a hulking zombie gently feeds a tiny blue bird. Their quiet moment is shattered by a squad of armed women dropping from the ceiling. And the little bird panics as the intruders blast its giant friend point-blank in the face. A chaotic battle breaks out, with the squad easily handling the lumbering zombies, their leader standing over the fallen, calling them pathetic and revealing they are hunting an undercover agent. This squad leader stares down a fist the size of a small car, completely unfazed, as the giant zombie roars that it is starving, a truly horrifying combo, and promptly takes a bite out of one of her squad members. One down, and it is already eyeing her for the main course, but she is way too fast, easily dodging a ground-shattering slam, noting that her fancy tech weapons are basically just tickle machines to this thing. So it is time for Plan B, activating her new human power complete with a pink glow-up, and she zips in to stop the monster from eating another one of her crew, unleashing a Gale Step Mirage that hits it with a dozen afterimages at once. This attack works and the zombie's spirit just kinda floats away, problem solved. Meanwhile, the undercover agent is found, chained up and very, very pregnant. This squad leader appears and the agent calls her Wind Shadow, thinking she has been saved. Yeah, about that, this is not a rescue, it is an execution order for her and the zombie baby. Wind Shadow wastes no time, putting a gun to her head and pulling the trigger, only for it to be smacked away at the last second by an unseen party. She is left completely stunned, her hand a bloody mess. As a new guy on a giant armored boar shows up, eager to test his skills on her, he leaps into action, unleashing a flurry of claw strikes while calling her pretty, a bold move. This guy is amazed that zombies can talk, while she is sure her skills will crush him, which is immediately proven wrong as she is blasted back, minus one arm. This clawed attacker taunts Wind Shadow, saying she cannot afford one mistake. As a flashback shows a massive beast man roaring about instant death, his underling offers to feed him the pregnant agent as a bonus, great HR policy. But the clawed guy from the fight steps in, taking over the situation. With her captors distracted, the agent shatters her chains, but she is completely broken with no will left to even run. She just begs her rescuer to end her suffering right there. But he smirks, revealing he knows she is a player who can just respawn. This completely floors her. How could a mutant possibly know about game mechanics? He mocks her for not understanding how this game actually works now. So she spills the truth: for players, dying in this world is permanent. He wonders why he is a zombie if other players exist, then asks about the baby. It is all because of some scumbag, she says, finally breaking down. Her tragic backstory begins. She was a bioengineering PhD student who could not graduate. Back then, she was a brilliant, if frustrated, scientist in a lab coat, and to kill time, she started playing an online game called Bio Wasteland. In-game, she met a guy named Thunderfire and they became a couple, who then sent her an invite to a fully immersive version of the game, a terrible, terrible idea. This realism was so intense they became lovers in real life too, and he even got her a job with the New Human Revival Alliance developing a serum. Her research in the game was actually surpassing real-world tech, but then she discovered her boyfriend was cheating right after she got pregnant, so he did the only logical thing: lure her into a mutant death trap, and to tie up loose ends, he had his whole squad, including her, eliminated. Back in the present, she has completely given up hope, begging for death, but her rescuer offers her a much better deal: a chance for revenge, an idea that seems to completely short-circuit her brain. Meanwhile, Zhang Fenggu and his new army are surveying their new HQ in the Thorn Forest, having secured a portal back to Hope City which they need to fortify. And our boy gives a rousing speech about taking down the new humans, getting everyone hyped. He puts Zio Yu in charge of logistics and construction, and she is all business. Elsewhere, a schoolgirl is cornered by a massive, shadowy beast, which turns out to be a giant, slobbery corgi giving her aggressive cuddles. And Zhang Fangu strolls up to ask his good boy Wang Zai for a status report, who looks incredibly proud of a job well done. All over the city, little blue wisps of energy are floating up into the sky, revealing that Wang Zai's mission was to recruit an entire pack of zombie dogs. After a solid month of work, Zhang Fangu is exhausted, but the system drops a new quest on him, and he is furious, complaining that he has never even heard of the places it is sending him. But the system helpfully explains a new cyborg body is ready to assist, problem solved. Zhang Fangu checks out the new cyborg body, wondering who he can con into using it. Suddenly, he is yelling at a tiny follower for not resting like he ordered. This little chibi girl just looks up with sad eyes, saying she is hungry. Then she poofs into a full-sized zombie girl, still asking for food. Our boy is absolutely floored by this sudden glow-up. She just strikes a pose, repeating her request, priorities, you know. He is confused how this shy girl suddenly knows his identity, and she just points, trying to explain, because his name and title are literally floating over his head for her to see. This system explains that teammates can see real names, a feature he immediately hates. This means he can only invite people he absolutely trusts with his secret. He runs through his list of friends, trying to figure out who is not a spy. While he strategizes, his new companion is busy inhaling a mountain of food. Her only input on his grand plan is that she needs more meat. Realizing asking her is pointless, he turns his attention back to the high-tech cyborg. He remembers his senior sister Susu, whose family company is all about AI. She has apparently hit a major tech wall and her company's in deep trouble, so inviting her into this game could be the perfect solution for both of them. Elsewhere, Susu is lounging in a ridiculously fancy room, looking bored. Then she sits up, grabbing some high-tech gear with a determined look on her face. Susu stretches, realizing it has been way too long since she logged into her game, and her in-game avatar reminisces about running dungeons with her old friend, when a single, unread message pops up on her screen, leaving her completely shocked by what it says. It is an SOS from Zhang Fangu offering a secret cyborg class in a new immersive world. She recognizes his old nickname for her, realizing this has to be legit. With zero hesitation, she smashes that accept button. Her consciousness gets yanked out of her body in a stream of pure data and downloaded directly into the high-tech cyborg body he prepared. This transfer looks anything but comfortable, zapped by purple energy. But she materializes, fully assembled in her sleek new battle suit. Looking at her new hands, she cannot believe how real this game feels. And if the tech is this real, her friend must be in serious danger. She lands right in front of Zhang Fangu, who casually welcomes her to the team. Her first reaction is pure alarm, crap, a zombie. Then she connects the dots, horrified that her friend might be the zombie. Zhang Fangu just sweats, admitting she is not entirely wrong, which is not helping. Refusing to believe mutants are evil, she powers up her arm cannons, demanding the monster hand over her friend or face annihilation, and she immediately unleashes a massive energy blast to prove her point. Zhang Fangu easily blocks her massive blast with a shield of his own, leaving Susu stunned. He is so strong and ready to go all out. But Siyu pops up out of nowhere, wrapping Susu's arms in red tendrils. This new girl completely binds her, shutting down the attack run cold, and calmly tells her to check the party info over Zhang Fangu's head, a weird thing to say to a hostage. Sure enough, there it is, Zhang Fangu advanced zombie, the penny drops. After a quick explanation, Susu finally accepts that her friend is, in fact, the undead. With that sorted, she syncs with the cyborg's memory for the mission briefing, then leads the newly formed squad to a hidden elevator in Hope City. Turns out their target is located deep underground, right beneath their feet. This elevator plummets down as the temperature skyrockets, getting a little toasty. So Siyu pulls them all in clothes for protection, wrapping the group in a big spiky purple hairball shield. It is a cozy, if slightly claustrophobic, ride down to the bottom. Finally, the elevator stops and the team steps out, ready for anything, except for the wall of water that immediately smashes through the doors. Suddenly, the entire facility is flooded and they are all just floating there. So Zhang Fangu puts Susu in charge of their new submarine adventure and she is on it. Looking around, they realize they are in a sunken city, complete with merpeople, and our boy is just completely lost, his brain having officially left the building. Zhang Fangu is floored to see mutated merfolk straight out of the game's lore, and a whole school of them surrounds him, confirming they are terrifyingly real. Their initial welcome quickly turns monstrous as one bares its fangs. And this not-so-little mermaid gets right in his face, ready to attack. He recalls the game guide. They are not strong alone, but their numbers are overwhelming. This whole squad is now completely surrounded by the underwater horde. So with no other choice, Zhang Fangu powers up to fight back. Susu immediately goes on the offensive, her cyborg body zapping merfolk left and right, and Siyu joins the brawl, lashing out with her own powerful attacks. But then the entire swarm just freezes, looking absolutely terrified of something else. As the merfolk flee, Susu's sensors pick up a massive creature approaching. Of course, it is a legendary mutated megalodon because there is always a bigger fish. Even this giant shark gets instantly wrecked by a massive red tentacle, which drags it off into the darkness toward a pair of glowing red eyes. This real boss appears, a colossal titan squid that makes the megalodon look like an appetizer. This thing's suction is so powerful it starts inhaling the entire team, and Siyu wakes up inside the beast, completely disoriented. Zhang Fangu calmly confirms they are inside the octopus, acting like this was the plan all along. They have found their destination, the legendary ghost ruins, somehow located in the squid's stomach. This team figures humans tried to sink the base and this squid just accidentally ate it. Stepping inside, Zhang Fanggu is immediately confused by what he sees. Because the floor is just littered with dozens of powered-down female cyborgs, Susu explains these are the strongest models, just taking a little power nap due to energy costs. But our boy gets the creepy feeling they are being watched by the deactivated army. They face a massive, bizarre structure and Zhang Fanggu has no idea where to go next. Since Susu's old map is useless, apparently the whole base has mutated. He connects the dots. Being inside a giant squid tends to change the decor. To find the energy core faster, the team decides to split up, with Susu heading off on her own path to search for the objective. Zhang Fanggu gives the classic "do not die" speech before heading out solo himself. He flies through the ruins, which are now crawling with shadowy tentacle monsters, and gets immediately ambushed, smashing a creature that pops out of the ground, only to realize it is a zombie, leaving him stunned at how it could have evolved. This real boss appears, a cyborg with a crystal core, and the system drops a mission complete reward. A new quest immediately follows: take down the cyborg leader, Dr. Mecha. He powers up, seeing this surprise boss fight as a perfect test for his new skills. Meanwhile, Siyu has somehow found a pool and fallen right in. Looking up from the water, she sees the darkness is filled with glowing red eyes, which belong to a massive school of mutated, piranha-like monsters. And the whole horde immediately dives, completely surrounding her in the deep. Siyu is back to full size, completely unbothered by the piranha-infested waters, and with a single slash she declares this is not a threat, it is a buffet. Back in chibi form, she is already chowing down on fish snacks to refuel. Her feast attracts a much bigger, angrier fish monster, who looks oddly terrified, but it tries to act tough anyway, roaring at the tiny girl from below. Siyu just strikes a pose, snack in hand, like she is on a photo shoot, not in a monster's stomach. This giant fish finally lunges, ready to make her its next meal, but she just gives it this chillingly confident little smile. Suddenly, the big bad monster is the one looking absolutely horrified. Meanwhile, Susu is stealthily navigating the sunken ruins on her own, and her internal scanner confirms she is closing in on the main control room. Her next step lands right on a very obvious glowing red trap tile, which of course activates a massive laser grid blocking the hallway. Susu just stares down the security system, looking more bored than threatened. Her brilliant solution is to just disassemble her entire body on the spot, letting all her cyborg parts float right through the gaps in the laser net. Then she just snaps back together on the other side like it is a party trick. For a second, she geeks out, realizing this tech could save her family's company. Shaking it off, she gets back to the mission and accesses the final door, revealing the main lab packed with dozens of dormant cyborgs in stasis pods. With a snap of her fingers, Susu decides it is time to wake up the troops, and she gives the command to activate the entire cyborg army. Steam immediately floods the lab as every single stasis pod hisses open, and a very large, very angry-looking hand smashes its way out of one. Instead of a welcome party, she gets a giant bot in slaughter mode, which is just perfect. Dodging a massive punch, she is understandably confused why her own allies are attacking her. This big guy just keeps repeating his one command: eliminate the intruders. Susu realizes its programming is bugged, like a broken record stuck on murder. She meets its punch head-on, sparking a massive power clash between them. And the bot's huge blast forces her to throw up a quick energy shield. Time to get serious. Her own arm cannon powers up for a counterattack. Her systems are already overclocked to 200%, ready for a real fight. Of course, her opponent goes right into annihilation mode, because why not? Susu activates her combat AI scene to predict his every move. Using the eye's data, she easily dodges and aims to disarm the big lug first. She wraps him up tight with some energy cables, completely immobilizing him for a moment. Even tied up, the bot just keeps screaming about intruders, bless his simple little CPU. With the big guy pinned, she prepares to perform a manual system reset, which apparently involves ripping his head clean off. Problem solved, she thinks. But then the detached head's eyes flicker back on with an ominous blue glow. This headless bot reboots, totally confused about his new freedom. Susu smugly explains she just fixed his little murder everything bug, and he is shocked to see her, calling her a prototype unit, which is news to her. This big guy gets all pensive, signaling a classic exposition dump is on the way. In a flashback, he reveals their creator, Dr. Guangya, and the original prototype in a tube. Turns out, the cyborgs were first built to haul around giant, glowing energy crystals for humanity. Over time, they leveled up from delivery boys to a full-blown cyborg legion. But humanity got paranoid zombies would steal their tech, so the whole legion got exiled. All the most advanced systems were first built into the prototype Susu's model. She was basically the bleeding-edge guinea pig for every new upgrade. After the rebellion, the prototype vanished, and he guesses the kill switch was a gift from their creator. We see the good doctor programming another bot, looking totally trustworthy, of course. This bot laments that their own creator is the one who exiled them and installed the murder protocol. Susu decides they will just have to go find this doctor for a little chat themselves. Right on cue, their conversation is interrupted by a giant metal boot. A whole new squad of angry cyborgs drops in, all stuck on the same kill intruders setting. Her new buddy confirms hundreds of them have this bug. It is a feature, not a glitch. One of the new arrivals immediately powers up a fist, ready to throw down. A powerful female cyborg grabs one of her own, still chanting the intruder mantra, and just casually crushes its head as Susu realizes the entire Titan army is waking up hostile. This giant new cyborg leader announces she came here just for the prototype. Susu is completely floored to learn she has her own personal 9 cyborg death squad. because the doctor apparently installed a special protocol so only she could wake them. This giant bot pledges to follow her, basically becoming her new bodyguard, and Susu, wasting no time, immediately has a very important job for her. Meanwhile, Zhang Fanggu is throwing a massive punch at the cyborg boss, which lands squarely on a big, squishy tentacle, not exactly a solid hit. Our boy is genuinely confused by the texture, wondering why it is so squishy. Turns out Dr. Mecha is part octopus and he just nullified the attack completely. Zhang Fanggu's main concern, though, is the disgusting slime now all over his hand. Over with Siyu, she has somehow tamed that giant fish and is riding it like a jet ski. But she is also completely bored, just yawning mid-ride. Deciding this is lame, she figures it is time to regroup with the others. So she just leaps into a massive pipe, diving straight toward a nest of tentacles below. She lands in what looks like a nest, realizing that last fish might have just been an appetizer. Right on cue, a massive shadow looms over her from above, and a huge torrent of water crashes down, completely engulfing her. Of course, it is the real mutated Piranha King, and it is about 100 times bigger. Back with our boy, he is powering up his next attack with crackling purple lightning. But the cyborg boss is just soaking it up, saying it feels weirdly good. Zhang Fanggu is stunned, this guy can just absorb electricity, and Dr. Mecha explains his electric eel genes turn lightning into a free power-up. So our boy switches to plan B, a massive fire punch to roast him alive. This fiery explosion completely engulfs the cyborg boss, who just grins and soaks it up because of course he does. Zhang Fanggu is understandably losing his mind over this development. This boss smugly reveals he has also got Pompeii worm genes, making him fireproof. Now he is the one asking questions, curious how a zombie got so smart and strong. He even offers to let Zhang Fanggu walk away, a truly generous offer from a tentacle monster. But the kid's not leaving without that energy core. Mission's a mission. Dr. Mecha just laughs, saying there is no way he is handing it over. Fine then, time to test out that shiny new skill from the system. He unleashes a flurry of internal force punches, hitting him from all sides. And the hits land, though our boy seems a little confused by the result, because the boss is suddenly screaming as the delayed damage kicks in. His octopus cells are completely useless, leaving him baffled by the pain. Zhang Fanggu explains his new skill bypasses all that squishy defense. Dr. Mecha cannot believe this little zombie has so many tricks up his sleeve. Seeing his chance, Zhang Fanggu summons a giant energy hammer for the finisher. But a golden chain suddenly shoots out, stopping his attack cold. This hammer is stopped cold by a glowing gold chain, and a new purple-haired cyborg holds the other end, telling someone to stand down. Dr. Mecha is floored, recognizing her as a first-generation model. She immediately demands to know what the hell happened after he was exiled. And so begins the tragic backstory, starting with an uprising in Hope City. In the past, Dr. Guangya was told his cyborgs were being exiled, basically trashed. This choice was simple: exile his creations or let his daughter remain a zombie forever. He reluctantly agrees, looking like he is about to pop a blood vessel. To save his army and his daughter, he personally led the exile plan, which apparently involved dismantling the first-gen cyborgs first. Their new home was the bottom of the ocean, complete with a giant octopus welcome party. They woke up inside the beast's stomach, which is just a fantastic start. Luckily, the octopus had also eaten an entire town, giving them a place to live. So he just became one with the octopus, as one does. Putting his entire army on ice, he then locked the whole place down. Back in the present, he is just a sad tentacle dad who misses his daughter. He is also deeply suspicious about why our boy and this old-school cyborg showed up together. Zhang Fanggu immediately tries to leverage this, asking if he wants to see his daughter. This doctor admits he is too fused with the octopus to even leave anymore. But the new cyborg girl steps up, thinking she might have a solution. Her plan is simple: just rip his core system out of the octopus body. And with a quick system reboot, Dr. Mecha is back in a new brain helmet, looking shocked. Because it actually worked, he's got a brand new bod, abs and all. She also helpfully uploaded all the world's historical data into him, including, most importantly, everything about his daughter, total blackmail material. He sees his daughter's file and the sad dad emotions kick right in. So naturally, his first move is to punch a wall because feelings are hard. Turns out he is furious the new humans are strong enough to have woken his daughter up. And he puts two and two together, realizing our boy wants the core to activate the army. Dr. Mecha agrees to hand it over, but of course there is a catch, which apparently involves getting way too close for comfort with Zhang Fanggu. This whole thing devolves into a weird chibai moment with the doctor shushing him like a total creep. Outside, the abandoned underwater city waits, still wrapped in tentacles, as the now sentient octopus monster roars, free from its cyborg passenger. Their giant squid chauffeur basically gives them a ride out, saying its job is done. Our purple-haired cyborg asks the obvious: is not he coming to see his daughter? But he's got important business to take care of first, standing dramatically on the octopus head. Then comes the classic dad move, entrusting his daughter's safety to Zhang Fanggu. And with a final reminder of their deal, the doctor walks off into the gloom, strapping on a visor and telling them to go win the war for him. Back in Hope City, the team delivers the energy core, mission accomplished. Plugging it in sends a massive surge of power through the entire facility, and a giant beam of light signals that the lights are officially back on. This system doles out the rewards, gold mystery boxes, and a big job well done. Zhang Fanggu checks his stats, feeling pretty good about his upgrades and new cash flow, while the system helpfully explains he can cash out, but maybe he should save for the new premium shop. He is shocked to see his balance, then even more surprised by this new game store feature. Turns out it is an exclusive shop for mutants, selling everything from skills to spaceships. One of the top-tier items is a mutant primary evolution card, basically a level up in a can. He scrolls through the options, realizing everything costs a fortune, including a literal nuke-powered tank. Deciding to be a good son first, he plans to pay his dad's bills before asking for another mission. This system immediately drops a new quest: find a player for the Zero Queen's body, whatever that means. He is a little confused by the new player part staring at the woman in the tube, but then a horrifying realization dawns on him: he completely forgot Siyu. Speaking of Siyu, she is back at her own base with that giant fish she tamed. She is trying to feed the fish corpse to her pet piranha king. Big bow, like it is a puppy treat. Something massive just snatches the snack out of the water in a flash, leaving her wondering why her pet is suddenly eating with such gusto. She calls out for Big Bow, leaning over the water to see what is up, only to be met by a giant, shadowy beast with glowing red eyes, and that is definitely not her baby anymore. A new cyborg dude is watching this whole mess, wondering if Siyu ate his pet piranha. He quickly connects the dots, realizing she must be one of Zhang Fangu's people. Siyu, for her part, is just passed out upside down on the giant fish monster's head. This guy figures she went berserk from absorbing too many piranha genes, and he is kind of impressed. Deciding she'd be a useful asset, he prepares to calm her down with some weird energy waves. Meanwhile, some red-haired jackass is living it up at a club with two ladies. He is trying to sweet-talk one of them back to his room with the promise of evolution secrets. And it is working, because now he is planning an all-nighter with both of them. What a guy. Right then, his private room door gets absolutely demolished, which makes him furious, lashing out with fire whips and demanding to know who is interrupting. His rant is cut short by a hand grabbing his entire face. A new blue-haired woman has him pinned to the ground like he is nothing. She looks down, completely unimpressed, and asking if he really thinks he stands a chance. This guy, however, seems thrilled to see her, calling her sister Guangaling. She asks why he always has to make things physical, clarifying she is not the one here for him. Stepping out from the shadows, the real boss makes his entrance. Red Hair's tone changes instantly, calling the new guy Ghost Eye boss and trying to suck up. This boss is not playing, warning him there will not be a next time if he fails again. This guy is baffled, unable to believe his best fighter lost to a bunch of zombies. And then the awful truth starts to dawn on his face. Ghost Eye boss is absolutely laying into Red Hair for partying while the world burns, and he explains that zombies are evolving with powerful new leaders popping up. So a new mission is on the table. Guangaling will lead a team to clear out a zombie nest. Their other objective is to capture a zombie leader alive for some good old-fashioned research. Switching scenes, we are back in the real world on a quiet, moonlit night. One of Zhang Fangu's friends is asleep with her VR gear on, dreaming about her missing squad. Inside the game, her avatar Meteor Shower logs in, ready to find her people. She wanders the neon city, feeling lonely and missing the days with her crew. Her anger boils over, blaming the jerks who bullied Zhang Fangu and hospitalized his dad. She makes a quiet vow to find whoever was behind it all. Nearby, two other players are gossiping about her return and the new zombie threat. One guy is desperate to awaken his powers, but apparently it is an invite-only party, and right on cue, Meteor Shower gets a brand new email notification. She taps open the message, probably expecting some guild spam. Instead, it is a classic trap, a message saying all her friends have been captured by a villain. Her first thought is just perfect: is this a scam? Back with Zhang Fangu, the Zero Queen in the tube suddenly lets out a huge sneeze. He is completely thrown, because since when do zombies catch colds? Our boy is just internally hoping his lame excuse works on her, thinking she is easy to trick. But she seems to hear his thoughts, looking down at him with a very confused huh. Meanwhile, a new girl in some wild insect armor gets zapped into existence, her silhouette glowing with some seriously ominous green energy. And she is immediately confused, wondering why her class trial teleported her here. Because this high-tech facility feels way too real, she thinks she got scammed. Suddenly, a white-haired guy pops up behind her, making her jump out of her skin, and her first brilliant conclusion is that he is a zombie, which naturally means all her friends were tricked and captured by him too. Overwhelmed, she just collapses, convinced she is the last one left. This guy grabs her, trying to snap her out of it, insisting he is her friend Ziogu, but his intense stare is not exactly helping his case. In fact, she is looking down at him like he is a bug, totally unconvinced. There's just no way she thinks her senior would ever turn into a zombie, so her face twists into a nasty grin as she asks where he hid everyone, demanding he give her friends back immediately, or else she will unleash a whole lot of pointy green justice, which apparently includes summoning a giant insect monster to tear him to pieces. Ziogu gets a system pop-up, realizing she is not just any player, she is the legendary Insectoid Queen. She stands there looking smug, backed up by her new horrifying pet, and he remembers the stories. The queen can mentally command an entire swarm to attack. Concluding her fear just instinctively triggered her powers, so talking her down is not an option. This Insectoid Queen squares up against her own monster, ready to throw down, but the swarm just multiplies, completely overwhelming her in an instant. Zhang Fangu dives in from above, deciding to subdue her with a massive ice blast, and his cryo-cannon flash freezes the entire insectoid horde solid. Landing in the middle of the ice field, he tries to snap Yuting out of her battle trance, leaving her just standing there dazed as her frozen monsters shatter around her. This confusion hits hard. She has no idea what just happened or why she is suddenly so cold. He tells her to check her team panel, revealing his true identity, Zhang Fangu, the Nest Lord. It finally clicks and she breaks down in tears, realizing her old friend Ziogu is really here. With everyone calmed down, he and Susu give her the full, terrifying rundown of their new reality. Yuding learns that mutants are oppressed and is immediately violently pissed off on their behalf. This righteous anger quickly pivots to a chilling plan to feed all humans to her bugs, a natural progression. Zhang Fanggu smoothly interrupts her villain origin story, saying they have bigger fish to fry, and her mood flips on a dime, turning her into an eager beaver ready for the mission. Susu, meanwhile, is thinking Yuding seems a bit timid, which is a spectacular misread of the room. Zhang Fanggu, however, knows a powerhouse when he sees one. Deciding the best use for her is on the front lines, leveling up through combat. Time to cash in, so our boy calls up the system for his reward and a new quest. This system pays out, dropping a cool 15,000 gold for successfully recruiting a teammate. And the next mission is a big one, a preemptive strike to eliminate Guangling and her forces. Zhang Fanggu checks the mission details. Oh great, it is these two clowns again. He leaves city construction to Susu, grabbing Yuding for the new hunt. Meanwhile, in a hidden, very dramatic-looking location, Guangling tells Red Hair they are out of options and death here is permanent. He tries to play it cool, suggesting they team up against some zombies, easy peasy. She is not impressed, asking if he even remembers how their last teammate died. He blames zombie bosses, admitting he maybe kinda forgot to send backup. Guangling just scoffs, telling him numbers mean nothing against overwhelming power. Then she reveals a secret weapon from Ghost Eye, a syringe with totally unknown side effects. Red Hair snatches it immediately, looking way too excited to inject mystery goo. This guy is just thrilled, ready to use his new power-up on some trash, and he jams it in, his face twisting as he declares one shot is all he needs. A moment later, he is a walking inferno, fully juiced up and ready to go. Switching scenes, Siyu finally wakes up looking a little dazed. She finds herself sitting in a strange high-tech room, completely lost. Her memory is a blur. She was meeting her friends, then blacked out while eating. Suddenly, a hologram of that cyborg dude pops up to say hello. He explains she went on a piranha-fueled rampage, evolved, and her friends are safe. Siyu just looks down, completely mortified by the whole Berserker recap. This cyborg tries to cheer her up, promising a food tour and new clothes, which is not creepy at all. And Siyu is instantly back to her cute, innocent self. What a switch. His idea of a food tour is a dive into a sunken city with a kraken, and as they descend, he explains their destination, the Titan's Abyss. This place is the ruin of an ancient civilization with murals telling old stories, and this guy is convinced all the spooky wall art is 100% historical fact. One carving shows ancient humans with advanced tech like a whole-ass train. Revealing the energy core they have been using was salvaged from this very place. Yet for all their science, they were still worshipping a giant floating eyeball, and their god was, of course, a horrifying tentacle beast slumbering beneath the earth. This entire temple was built to keep the monster fed and asleep with energy crystals, but they worshipped it out of pure fear because this thing could destroy the planet. This real threat was not its size, but the mutant genes it carried, which spread like a plague, turning normal rats into spiky abominations. No one knows where the genes originated, but every major mutation traces back to this one beast. Humanity's nuclear war did not create the mutants, it just woke the damn thing up. After waking, the beast seeded the whole world with its genes, then promptly went back to bed, which is why the planet is now overrun with monsters and everything is terrible. His whole goal is to study these genes to find a cure for someone named Zio Fei, but the path is guarded by all sorts of shadowy horrors. He reaches out, warning her the road ahead is long and packed with monsters. Siyu happily demolishes a giant crab leg, and the cyborg is just so over it, as he warns her to stick close because food is apparently a major distraction down here. Meanwhile, Guangling's team is hunting a red-haired mutant with some serious scorpion vibes, who barely has time to react as an energy arrow zips past her head. This mutant dodges with a flash of red energy, desperately trying to fight back, but she is clearly outmatched, landing on the defensive, and a moment later she is impaled right through the chest. Guangling stands over her, knife bloody, complaining this is all getting a little boring. Red Hair, still on his power trip, holds up a trophy kill ready for the Thorn Forest, while her squad struggles to keep up, begging their super-fast boss to slow down a bit. Of course, the team's fangirls are just swooning over Zio Huo's amazing new power. Their celebration is cut short by a massive, snarling zombie dog lunging from the shadows, and one of the squad members gets absolutely shredded in an instant. This whole team just freezes, totally shocked to see evolved mutants this strong out here. So Guangling immediately barks orders, telling them to regroup before they are all picked off. It is too late, though. They are surrounded by a whole pack of these evolved zombie dogs. Just when they thought it could not get worse, a giant snake monster emerges from the dark, letting out a terrifying roar ready to wipe them all out. But then some other armored red monster just chomps down on the snake's neck, throwing the whole battlefield into chaos as even more mutants join the free-for-all. Siyu's food tour kicks off against a giant shark monster, of course. And now sporting tentacles, she is a walking buffet. The cyborg is just happy she is eating well, followed by a quick dip in some glowing blue goo to recharge. They finally arrive at their destination, a massive spooky underwater temple, but inside the place is a total ghost town with no legendary beast in sight. This cyborg looks at a busted statue, wondering if this whole legend was fake. Then its eyes glow a menacing red, because why would not they? And right on cue, disgusting red tentacles erupt from its stone arms. This whole thing transforms into a hulking monster, ready for a fight, immediately trying to flatten Siyu with a massive claw swipe. But the attack just shatters the ground as she easily dodges. In her full combat form, Siyu realizes this statue is the legendary beast. so the cyborg decides to get serious too, deploying some wicked-looking metal wings. He unleashes a massive energy blast, punching a hole straight through the monster's chest. Yet the beast just looks down at its new hole like it is a minor inconvenience. Instead of dying, its body dissolves into a pile of smaller squirming blobs, which then reform into two identical monsters. Great, now there is a pair. Our cyborg is completely floored, realizing this thing can multiply, frantically telling Siyu to play defense before they are facing an entire army. His face says it all, this just got way more complicated. Siyu's full monster form just wraps up one of the statue beasts, and the cyborg realizes her strategy is simple: if you cannot beat it, eat it. Her tentacles just crush the monster into submission, completely absorbing the stone creature in a flurry of blue and red. Then she summons a giant red demon dog to chow down on the other one. Problem solved. Meanwhile, Guangling's squad is completely wiped out and she is wondering who the hell is this strong. A massive alpha zombie dog looms over them, looking like the end of the line. Redhair just laughs, powering up his flame form and calling the beast a mutt. He unleashes a massive fire whip ready to show off, and slams it right into the monster's face with a huge explosion. Guangling has to remind him not to get cocky since his power-up has a time limit. Suddenly, a mysterious blue energy blast interrupts their victory lap, forcing them both to dodge as it zips between them. A new challenger steps out of the shadows, announcing their arrival. It is Yuding, looking way more confident with a tiny gremlin version of herself on her shoulder. Redhair is stunned, recognizing her as someone he knew named Tai. She coldly informs him the person he abandoned is long dead, and the one standing here now is back for some serious payback. He just scoffs, completely unimpressed by her threat. Powering up again, he declares she's only here to die. Big mistake, buddy. Yuding reveals her secret weapon is her creepy little demon child sidekick, and Redhair is completely stunned as Guangling just ditches him on a rooftop. She takes a flying leap across the city, clearly on her own mission now, wondering how the hell all the zombies in this area got so ridiculously strong. Her question is answered when a giant boot slams down right in her path, and a massive stitched-up zombie lady promises this is the end of the line for her. Guangling immediately tries to kick her way out of the conversation, but the zombie just casually catches her foot, looking bored. That grip is absolutely bone-crushing, a clear sign she is outmatched, and then she is hoisted upside down like a ragdoll, before getting slammed headfirst into the concrete. She staggers back up, bruised but not broken, deciding it is time to use her last resort, a glowing device on her neck. Her face contorts in agony as the power surges through her veins, and she lets out a scream, erupting in a massive red aura. Now in her evolved form, she is confident she can take down this former test subject, charging forward with a glowing fist to return the favor. She lands a brutal punch right across the zombie's face, following it up with a powerful kick for good measure. This zombie goes flying, and Guangling admits she is durable, but this fight is over. This zombie lady just shakes off the punch, calling it a mere warm-up, and with a crack of her neck, she announces the real fight is just beginning. Guangling dives in for another strike, completely unaware of the power-up coming her way, because the zombie suddenly sprouts a dozen arms and Guangling's face is priceless. She is immediately on the back foot, desperately trying to block a flurry of fists, but gets absolutely pummeled by the sheer volume of attacks. Her opponent, Dolly, easily catches her by the leg and asks her lord what to do next. From a rooftop above, a new white-haired boss tells her to bring Guangling back for interrogation. He is annoyed this little practice session got exposed, knowing stronger foes will show up now, and decides he needs to get a better handle on the new human's situation. Meanwhile, Siyu and the cyborg have reached the center of the temple, a giant empty throne room. While the cyborg puzzles over a hidden mechanism, Siyu is suffering from a major food coma. Her eyes go wide as she realizes her all-you-can-eat monster buffet is about to come back up. She starts convulsing in midair, the cyborg realizing she is having a backlash from overeating. Then she just vomits a torrent of red energy right onto the temple floor. Lovely. This energy spreads out, forming a massive glowing sigil across the room, illuminating the entire chamber in an ominous red light. This whole place starts to shake and fall apart as the sigil activates, and the cyborg has a sudden epiphany: this temple is actually a hidden passageway. To open it, you need the legendary beast's genes, and Siyu just conveniently provided the key. With the temple now a gateway, the cyborg wonders where on earth this passage leads. And this new world immediately greets them with visions of a brutal monster war, where a two-headed T-Rex stands victorious, establishing the food chain real quick. But there is always a bigger fish, or in this case, a giant ape ready to pounce. This visions keep coming, revealing a winged demon as the apparent apex predator here, because even that massive ape gets taken down by some unseen force from above. It seems to be staring up at a massive, floating world tree under a blood-red sky. A huge energy beam then obliterates a city below, which the cyborg calls the law of this place. They finally land, and Siyu immediately asks if they have stumbled into Hollow Earth. Before they can get their bearings, a massive shadow falls over them both. It is a giant ape monster with crab armor, identified as an ancient mutant creature. Our cyborg is sweating, realizing they have just walked into some kind of god's lair. Siyu, however, is absolutely thrilled. Time for another all-you-can-eat buffet. She squares up to the beast, completely unfazed by the colossal size difference. And then its chest opens into a horrifying, flower-like mouth full of teeth that is new. Her response is to just casually place a hand on it like she is petting a weird dog. This monster is visibly confused by this absolute lack of survival instinct, letting out a roar, probably trying to figure out what to even do with her. Its attention then shifts to the cyborg who has just been standing there watching the show, and he just smirks, telling the beast it will not even get the chance to fight him. This giant ape is absolutely furious, because Siyu is literally tearing it apart from the inside, her tentacles just shredding through its chest cavity. A massive chunk of monster meat goes flying, and our girl celebrates her victory with a little taste test, of course. Suddenly, the massive world tree starts to shake violently, and the cyborg looks up, wondering what fresh hell this is, realizing with dawning horror that a god is about to wake up. Meanwhile, the white-haired boss and his sidekick survey their territory, getting a system alert that his team just beat Guangaling and killed the ape. This guy's just happy he can finally pay off his dad's medical bills, a villain with a mortgage. His strategy is clear: training teammates is the key to doubling rewards, but the system warns him the enemy is leveling up just as fast. With a smirk, he decides it is time to get serious about training his crew. Elsewhere, a massive blue explosion rocks the street, with Yuding and her tiny demon child standing completely unfazed. Red Hair cannot believe her little sidekick's fire is stronger than his, whining that he could totally win if he just had an evolution potion. Yuding just appears in his face, asking him what exactly he thinks he could do. And now he is on the ground, begging her to stay away. How the mighty have fallen. Yuding dangles the evolution potion he was just whining about, pure psychological warfare. Then she just tosses it on the ground, flexing that she has plenty more. He immediately jams it into his neck, convinced this is his big comeback moment. A sudden look of horror crosses his face. That was not a power-up. His body starts swelling uncontrollably, which is usually a bad sign. And Yuding smugly explains that a weak body cannot handle a concentrated evolution potion. Whoops. This energy overload starts to literally tear him apart from the inside out, and just like that, he explodes into a shower of meaty confetti. All that remains are his legs and a smoking spine with a shiny red crystal. She reaches for the spoils of war, correctly guessing it is his energy crystal. Meanwhile, in a dungeon, the white-haired boss is about to interrogate a chained-up Guangaling. A system alert confirms Red Hair's defeat, rewarding his team with a fire crystal. While Guangaling figures this is the end, which is still better than becoming a zombie, her captor steps closer, casually asking if she wants to be tortured. Blindfolded, she flinches and demands to know who is there. So he offers her a simple deal: answer his questions and live. Weighing her options, she asks what information he is after. He pulls out a white rose, dramatically demanding she tell him everything she knows. That little bit of theater works perfectly. She breaks and agrees to talk. 20 minutes later, she insists she has told him everything she knows. This white-haired boss connects the dots from her intel. Players are using evolution potions, realizing his opponents are actual people, which means he has to go all out. And gets back to business, demanding to know who is behind the max-level account. But Guangaling plays dumb, claiming the account's owner is a total ghost, insisting she has spilled everything and begging him to keep his promise to let her live. So he agrees not to kill her, which is never a good sign, because he has a task for her, revealing a creepy bug-like device. And then he just shoves a mutant goo worm right down her throat. This parasite burrows into her stomach, becoming a permanent and disgusting new feature. And she screams in agony as her body feels like it is burning from the inside out. His sidekick cheerfully explains this little worm also enhances her abilities, but the catch is they can make it rupture her organs if she disobeys. Great management style. Her first mission is simple: stay by his side and wait for orders via worm mail. Elsewhere, in some fancy lounge, a new group is kicking back. A guy called Ghost Eye gets cozy with the now-controlled Guangaling, planning his next move. But his grandstanding is cut short by an armored fist smashing the table. A new crew, Iron Science, tells him to step aside and let them take over. Ghost Eye is livid, calling them scrap metal against the evolved zombies, but their leader just scoffs, confident his firepower can crush any hero. And the scene then cuts to a quiet balcony in the real world at night. A new white-haired woman is unwinding from a hard day's work in a bubble bath, and decides to blow off some steam by hopping into the game for a bit of fun. In-game, a player named Ginger lands on a rooftop, noting the distinct lack of action, until her peace and quiet gets shattered by an unexpected arrival, because a whole squad from Iron Science is dropping in hot from above, and she is absolutely thrilled that something interesting is finally happening. So she immediately dives off the building to get a front row seat, determined to see exactly what kind of trouble they are stirring up. One of the armored goons is just itching for some practice on the locals, and Ginger comes flying in for a direct confrontation, slamming into him with a powerful kick that he easily blocks, which kicks off a lightning-fast exchange of blows between the two. But he is clearly on another level, knocking her back with his raw power. And she instantly recognizes the power gap is too big to handle alone, which means it is time for Plan B, pulling out a gun, firing a signal flare straight into the sky to call for backup, which forms 3 glowing cubes that look a lot like mahjong tiles, and her opponent just mocks the signal, pointing out it is not even a valid hand. What a nerd, while she just hopes her team actually sees the signal she sent. And they do. The bath lady and her crew spot the tiles, identifying them as Morse code. Ginger knows her team is a no-show, but she is drawing her sword anyway, deciding she is just going to enjoy this one-on-one fight for now. But her opponent from Iron Science easily parries her attack, and immediately gets her in a chokehold with a blade to her neck. He smugly declares this is the end for her, which she is not thrilled about, then mocks her for being way too inexperienced to be a real threat. A brutal punch sends her reeling back, completely outmatched. And he pins her against her own shield, telling her to just die already. Defeated, she can only complain about her teammates being offline while she waits to respawn, when suddenly backup drops from the sky, kicking a zombie right in the face. It It is the Bath Ladies crew and the white-haired guy tells his teammate to hold back, which just makes Ginger angrier. The enemy got back up but she could not. This new guy tries to explain the situation, offering a hand up. But she just grabs him, accusing them of ganging up on her too. And then she just logs off, leaving him baffled that she rage quit right before he could explain the signal flare was *their secret code. Elsewhere, a new blue-haired woman in a flight suit rains down explosions on a forest, issuing a cold command: capture the leaders, eliminate everyone else. Her squad immediately gets to work, lighting up the zombies below, while their commander watches with a steely, determined gaze. Then launches into a graceful, acrobatic attack of her own. This blue-haired commander's target is a blindfolded zombie with some serious claws, who moves so fast she can parry a point-blank energy blast. Then she leaps into the air, using her bandages like whips. So the commander just decides to skip the foreplay and pulls out the big gun, unleashing a massive explosion of blue energy. But the zombie lady is just too nimble, dodging the aerial assault, getting pinned down by the whole squad's coordinated fire. And the commander realizes this one is too tough, calling for backup, only for the zombie to look up as reinforcements swarm the sky, who immediately rain down a storm of lightning she cannot escape. But a subordinate reports a problem: the main zombie horde just ran off, meaning this whole fight was just a distraction to cover their escape. So the commander orders a full pursuit, leaving no one behind. And the forest goes quiet for a moment, until she stops dead in her tracks, sensing something is wrong, because her entire squad just got surrounded by a completely different team. She looks up, wondering who the hell these new players are, and it is the Bath Ladies crew here to clean up her mess. Talk about bad timing. Her entire squad is instantly taken out, falling from the sky like flies, leaving the new arrivals to take over the battlefield, ready for a fight. This Bath Ladies crew leader steps up, ready to show off the joy of Magneto, and the blue-haired commander's armor is immediately ripped right off her body, leaving her entire squad floating helplessly as they are stripped of their gear. Back in the real world, the Bath Lady is still chilling, VR goggles on, but she suddenly gasps, yanking off the headset after whatever just went down. She is completely baffled by what she just experienced in the game, still trying to process why that player rage quit on her teammate. Out of the tub now, she realizes the game is evolving way too fast for anyone to keep up. Meanwhile, the white-haired boss is back at his high-tech command center, thinking about how the game's accounts are locked to players via biometrics. He is eyeing the new Human Alliance leader, wondering if that is his asterisk account being used by someone else. This means he will have to send his new pet, Guangling, to investigate. With a flash of determination, his mind is made up. And just then, a system alert gives him early access to a new zone, the Dark Icefield. He is annoyed about the new content, but the system basically tells him to shut up and do his job. It explains that many new players are transmigrators who have awakened special powers, so the game is expanding to accommodate these new humans. He accepts the logic, but cannot shake the feeling that something else triggered this update. This new zone, the Dark Icefield, is now officially on his map, and its local wildlife looks absolutely delightful, just a real charmer. Elsewhere, a new girl is happily chowing down on a giant monster heart, before suddenly erupting in a blast of green, world-shaking energy, and her cyborg companion tells her to calm down as the ground itself cracks open, because he is busy deducing that these stone slates form a map of the world. He is confused about the new Dark Icefield, but she only cares if it has good food, and their conversation is cut short when the entire area starts to tremble violently, as a massive flock of winged creatures darkens the sky above them, which she immediately wants to eat, of course, while he begs her not to get a stomachache. Before they can argue, some seriously creepy cloaked figures emerge from the shadows, descending from the sky like a bad omen with wings. And their leader is annoyed that someone activated the Dark Icefield ahead of schedule, but she quickly dismisses it, prioritizing some ritual for their ancient true god. Her two followers just stand there silently, which is peak cultist behavior, so the cyborg duo waits until the coast is clear, relieved they have moved on, realizing those must be the kinmen of the god they mentioned. His relief is short-lived as a giant hand suddenly snatches him from behind, belonging to a massive, blindfolded kid who is holding him like an action figure, who casually identifies him as a 7th-generation game creature. This giant kid seems genuinely confused about how this little NPC got here, and just holds him up for inspection, looking like he is about to find out what is inside. Siyu, our resident foodie, tries to take a bite out of the giant kid, and cannot even leave a mark, while her cyborg buddy screams for her to get back as a massive hand closes in. But it is too late. The giant kid snatches her up like a toy, looking way too interested, and gives her a big all-sniff with his tongue. Personal space is clearly not in his vocabulary. Then he realizes she is the one who ate a judgment guard, which he finds absolutely fascinating. So a sonic attack immediately traps her in rings of red energy, with the kid noting he is impressed her evolved body can even withstand it, before deciding to play with his food later and just dropping them into a portal. A creepy "we will meet again" promise following them down into the abyss, and the duo gets unceremoniously dumped right into the freezing Dark Icefield. After a rough landing, the cyborg checks on Siyu, who is definitely feeling the chill, and it turns out her monster pet actually managed to bite a piece off their captor, which the giant kid examines back on his end, delighted that it is growing into a weird crystal. Elsewhere, a cult gathers before their leader, a winged figure named Grand Duke Abaddon, in surprise. The true god they are preparing a ritual for is the giant kid Aka Satan. Cut to the blue-haired commander's squad getting absolutely dismantled, with the commander herself on the ground staring down the barrel of a cannon. as a new purple-haired woman in heavy armor tells her to just surrender. While her surviving squadmates can only watch, admitting their entire division got wiped out, and the purple-haired Victor gloats that the zombies were just a cover for bloodthirsty paradise. And another new player joins the party, ready to clean house with a massive chainsaw, while some dude in bulky armor is eager to test out his new battle suit. So they turn the whole thing into a kill count competition just for funsies. Elsewhere, a woman in the real world feels like something is seriously off, mulling over why a zombie would need to explain anything to her. Unable to crack it alone, she decides to go find her team for help, and immediately asks them if they know what is going on in the game. Her crew, by the way, is one guy and his very attentive female entourage, whose brilliant answer is a collective we do not know peak strategic insight, but her gut is screaming that something is fundamentally wrong here. Right on cue, the guy collapses into her arms, whining about how he cannot beat the monsters, so she offers to help him grind, just the two of them, which would normally make him jump for joy. But the rest of his fan club immediately protests, not about to let him go on a date. As they bicker, she is completely thrown by how out of character they all are. And then it clicks, a horrifying realization dawning on her face. As she shoves him back, finally understanding her entire team has been replaced by fakes. Meanwhile, a new woman decides she is logging into the game herself to get answers, spawning into a creepy abandoned lab and immediately sensing this is not right, when a voice from the shadows welcomes her, which is never a good sign, and it is the white-haired boss declaring this is territory, the City of Hope. This new arrival immediately attacks the white-haired boss, swinging a massive energy sword, who casually dodges a kick that would have turned his head into modern art. She realizes he is the only zombie in the room, making this a fight to the death, but he is more interested in monologuing, telling her to just let him talk. She is not here for a chat, demanding to know if he is the one who replaced her entire team, and he just gives her this cutesy face, basically admitting, "Oops, my bad," which is all the confirmation she needs to end the conversation with violence. She lunges in for the kill, only for him to block her blade with his bare hand. This impact sending sparks everywhere, but he is not even flinching, because he was just stalling for his zombie buddies to sneak up from behind. With the trap sprung, he unleashes a massive energy wave that blasts her across the room, and his main concern is that she is going to wreck his precious base. Before she can recover, his creepy purple tentacles wrap around her, trapping her completely. But then she recognizes him, calling him Professor Cheon and revealing her own name, asking why he did not say so, and he is just like, "You kinda tried to kill me first." Now that they are talking, she asks how he became a zombie, and he hints it is a playable class. Just as another player, Lin Yuding, drops in to say she was the zombie he is talking about. Turns out she's been chilling on the ceiling this whole time, completely unnoticed. She gets all buddy-buddy with the professor, insisting they are all friends here, no need to fight. And after a long, probably very confusing explanation, the whole thing is somehow resolved. So Lin Yuding offers the professor a new life-form shell to invite his friends over, and he is a bit taken aback by how fast she is moving on this whole plan. Just like that, a new teammate is being 3D printed inside a giant tube, who emerges wrapped in bandages, looking thoroughly unimpressed with the process. With the new squad formed, Professor Jiang decides it is time for the grand tour. He shows them their new home, which is a surprisingly lush and peaceful forest. Of course, that peace lasts about 5 seconds before an intruder alarm goes off, and a purple-haired woman with a chainsaw is standing on some poor guy's back. This welcoming committee has arrived, and they look absolutely thrilled to be here. This new arrival, number 107, is clearly enjoying her position of power. Her entire crew is locked and loaded, ready to start some serious trouble. She points her comically large chainsaw at the professor, daring him to fight. But our boy just smirks, unleashing his own dark energy, ready for the challenge. His new teammates, the bandaged woman and Lin Yuding, are right there to back him up. This bandaged woman does not waste a second, powering up with fiery red energy. She launches forward at insane speed, a total blur to everyone on the field. Number 107 is completely stunned, unable to even track the attack. In a flash, the bandaged woman has already snatched one of the goons and taken to the sky. This battlefield holds its breath for a single, tense moment, before number 107 retaliates, bringing her massive blade down from above. Professor Jiang's tentacles clash with number 107's chainsaw, and she is actually impressed by the block. Though his attack accidentally snags Lin Yuding in the chaos, whoops. From the enemy side, a woman summons her little nurse, a disgustingly cute healing slug, which slaps right onto her down teammate who is not a fan of slug-based medicine. This little guy gets to work, pumping him full of green healing energy, and just like that, the goon is back on his feet, feeling totally refreshed. Seeing an opportunity, Professor Jiang gives this minion, Zio Li, a chance to redeem himself, who immediately launches a kick at a plague doctor masked woman, yelling about a fair fight. She just dodges and announces they are leaving. So much for that honorable duel. A move that really ticks off number 107, who cannot believe they are trying to run, while Jiang and Yuding mock them from afar, calling them completely unworthy. Meanwhile, the bandaged woman is being held captive, her face covering getting pulled away, revealing she has been tied up this whole time. Just as their big boss arrives, a large man welcoming his suffering children, who are immediately all over him because that is just peak cult behavior. At the same time, a new twin-tailed commander calls in an airstrike with precise coordinates, and her squad in the sky unleashes a massive barrage of energy beams, which slam into a defensive energy shield protecting the forest below, causing a huge explosion that has the professor worried about his real estate. But the commander just scoffs, saying they can rebuild after they kill all the cockroaches. This commander unleashes a massive firestorm, telling them to never return. While on the ground, Professor Jiang gives Lin Yuding a knowing look, and she gets the message loud and clear as their enemies get blasted mid-fall. So Yuding goes full queen mode, summoning her subjects to the battlefield, which turn out to be a swarm of very angry-looking metal-eating beetles, who immediately fly up to give the falling squad a warm welcome. Elsewhere, Siyu is still passed out in the ice field while her cyborg buddy studies his new crystal, until she wakes up, licks the ice, and decides it tastes awful, a true connoisseur. But her super sniffer immediately picks up the scent of actual food nearby, which happens to be a colossal, terrifying ice wolf staring them down. So Siyu instantly goes full monster mode, completely ignoring her friend's warnings, and launches herself straight at the beast, tendrils wrapping around its neck, trying to crush its crystalline armor with everything she has got. But her buddy realizes in horror that her bite is not even leaving a scratch. And worse, the wolf's own bite force is way more powerful. Just as more glowing eyes appear in the darkness, it brought friends, revealing an entire pack of ice wolves surrounding them, which is just fantastic. And the pack immediately lunges in for the kill, with one of them getting a clean bite right on her tendril, which begins to crack and shatter under the immense, freezing pressure. Siyu literally drains the life force from the giant ice wolf she just wrecked, getting a new skill and declaring her meal delicious, because of course she did. Meanwhile, Lin Yuding sends her little children out to play, and her swarm of meta leaders descends with one simple order: devour everything. They immediately start munching on the enemy's high-tech armor, leaving the soldiers completely swarmed and screaming for their lives. This one dude in bulky armor steps up, ready to fight a million bugs, powering up his brand new suit and boasting about its fiery capabilities. He unleashes a massive fire punch, expecting to incinerate the whole swarm, but Lin Yuding just smirks, realizing it is time for her babies to evolve. Thanks for the snack. Elsewhere, one of the soldiers screams for her father to save her from the bugs, and father is just sweating bullets, completely terrified himself. What a leader. He gets absolutely shredded by the swarm, which is just a terrible way to go. Back with the fire puncher, he is now surrounded by a bunch of plant zombies, so he starts monologuing about paving the way for the new humans. Then he goes full kamikaze, blowing himself up to take everyone with him in a blaze of glory. But the smoke clears to reveal some dude just casually standing there, completely unfazed. Number 107 looks down from above, realizing this is not going according to plan at all, as the guy she apparently cut in half earlier is back, claiming she only won with a cheap shot, and she actually agrees, admitting she is no match for him without backup. Number 107 stands over her victim, looking like she is enjoying this way too much, while the bandaged woman cuts through the air, a whirlwind of golden energy. But the guy on the ground is already back up, flying in with a taunt about her team losing. He throws a punch that she casually blocks with her chainsaw, telling him to surrender, which gets a hard in your dreams from her. She is not impressed, so it is time to break out the emergency power-up, a syringe full of mystery juice. She catches it in her teeth, calling them monsters and looking absolutely unhinged, then bites down, shattering the glass to get her fix, and a wave of raw purple energy surges through her body, emerging with a psychotic grin and a simple demand: everybody dies. With her new strength, she brings her supercharged chainsaw down for the kill. This impact sending cracks of purple lightning across the entire battlefield. Her opponent is struggling to hold on, wondering where this insane power came from, and his own defenses are starting to crack under the overwhelming force. All the while, number 107 is just screaming for him to die, which is very encouraging. Just then, a white-haired dude shows up, casually summoning a massive ice wall, which flash freezes her entire attack, earning him a "so cool boss" from his subordinate. Number 107 is completely floored. Her ultimate move stopped cold. She lands on the ground, clearly annoyed that her fun got interrupted, because now she has to deal with a giant ice monster, and this fight just got a whole lot bigger. His subordinate stops him cold, telling him not to chase them, as number 107 makes her fiery escape, looking completely unhinged. Her backup is seriously impressed by that mystery power-up juice, but tells her to snap out of it before she burns out completely. With his tail between his legs, he admits they have to run for it, because these monsters are way too strong and they need to report back. His winged teammate asks if they should pursue, but our boy says no. Letting them go spreads fear, which should buy his zombie lair some peace. Of course, rebuilding his nest costs a fortune, back to square one, but hey, mission complete. He gets a new skill that lets him borrow teammate powers, and just like that, he gets Siyu's Ice Wolf abilities from across the map. Right on cue, Twin Tails gets a distress signal from a doctor in trouble, so he splits the team. He, the professor, and Twin Tails are going on a road trip. This bandaged woman takes point, and the rescue squad is officially on the move. Meanwhile, Siyu's cyborg buddy is hoping his little distress beacon actually worked, as they chill on a giant ice crystal, dealing with some serious signal interference. Then Siyu's super sniffer picks up a scent, and you know what that means. She has spotted the Snowfield Titan tribe, which looks suspiciously like lunch. Suddenly, a massive armored figure descends from the sky, and it turns out to be their ride, with the rescue team already in its hand. This bandaged woman worries about poor Siyu, all alone in a strange place, but our boy chilling in the mech's hand is pretty sure she is not the one to worry about, because his system logs show she's basically eaten her way through the local food chain, and yup, there she is, happily gnawing on a giant leg bone, a true gourmet. Their massive transport continues to barrel through the icy wasteland, when Twin Tails gets a blizzard warning, yelling that they need to change course. But it is way too late, as mysterious purple tendrils ambush them from the storm. This entire rescue squad gets violently yanked out of the sky, along with some giant armored woman who also gets caught in the trap, as the tendrils wrap them all into one big squirming ball of people, which then gets slammed directly into the frozen ground and proceeds to bounce across the landscape like a cursed pinball. Inside, it is just a chaotic tangle of limbs and very awkward landings, with the armored woman getting squeezed by the bizarre purple bindings. Our boy is just gasping for air, wondering why his cushion is so soft, until he realizes he has landed face first in the bandaged woman's chest. Oh dear. He immediately tries to pull away, stammering a very flustered apology, but something is pinning him down and she just wants him to get off already. Twin Tails is also caught in the pileup, feeling dizzy from the whole ordeal, and the MC gets a massive nosebleed, thinking his life has been totally worth it. This winged teammate reports no signal as they officially enter the dark ice-filled dungeon, and of course the system immediately opens the dungeon to everyone, ruining his private exp farm. This system basically tells him to suck it up, which he takes with all the grace of a spoiled child. His new mission is to conquer a local tribe and become their leader, a tribe he is pretty sure does not exist. Just then the bandaged woman hears something massive approaching, and it is not friendly. Turns out massive was an understatement. It is the giant armored woman from the crash just stretching out. So our boy decides this is the perfect time to test out Seiu's shared eagle eye skill. His new vision reveals a whole stampede of warrior women charging right at them. And he realizes this must be the tribe he is supposed to conquer. Twin Tails reasonably suggests they should probably run for their lives, but our boy just smirks, seeing this not as a threat but as a delivery service for his mission objective. So he stands his ground as the entire tribe of giants bears down on him. His plan is simple: beat them all and become their new boss, easy peasy. They completely surround him, a tiny dude in a sea of angry giants. And the tribe stops short, clearly confused by the tiny snack that just appeared in their path. Suddenly, a new player with a massive blade and a creepy grin drops into the scene. He is thrilled to find a fresh zone, seeing the tribe as nothing more than a big pile of exp. Without hesitation, he starts slaughtering the tribe members who were just trying to defend their home. Our boy is absolutely furious, realizing these are other players just killing for points. And he unleashes his full power, declaring the tribe his chosen subjects and nobody messes with his people. He unleashes a massive vortex of power, absolutely shredding the player killers, and the whole battlefield erupts in explosions as the exp farmers get wiped out, leaving our boy standing there with his tentacles out, a total boss move. This giant tribe's chieftain thanks them for the save, but she is not impressed. In fact, the whole tribe gets into a fighting stance, refusing to submit to him. Her logic is simple: only the strongest rules, and he is just a tiny dude. Talk about size discrimination. She explains that a few days ago some monster stole all their food, and now she is blaming his entire race for the actions of one person. Our boy starts connecting the dots, wondering if it could possibly be his gluttonous teammate. And yup, cut to Seiu absolutely housing a giant bone, living her best life. This chieftain describes the thief as a tentacled monster with a weird appetite, which has the MC sweating bullets. Knowing that description fits Seiu to a T despite her anger, the chieftain admits she is grateful for the rescue, but apologizes, saying they cannot be allies after what happened. This bandaged woman then steps in with a proposal: what if they help catch the food thief? Amir agrees, but only if they can actually deliver on that promise. So with a confident smirk, our boy accepts the quest to hunt down his own teammate. This scene shifts to the imposing gates of the Titan tribe's camp, where a familiar someone makes a very dramatic entrance, and it is Seiu just humming a little tune, completely unaware she is now a wanted criminal. And speaking of the devil, Seiu is out on the prowl for more yummy snacks, while the team sets up the most ridiculously obvious Baitan net trap ever. Twin Tails is convinced she will not fall for it, but our boy knows his target's weakness all too well. Right on cue, her super sniffer goes into overdrive. She smells food and finds the giant meat, thinking the locals are just wasteful for leaving it out, which is our boy's signal to spring the trap with a triumphant now. A massive net drops from the sky and Seiu is just completely baffled, getting tangled up while still trying to take a bite, and Twin Tails cannot believe it actually worked. Still clutching her prize, Seiu looks around, utterly confused by this sudden turn of events, until her teammates finally show up to ask what in the world she is doing here. Then the giant chieftain arrives, pointing down and officially accusing her of being the food thief. This whole crew just stares down at their problem child, who is in some very deep trouble. Seiu plays innocent, claiming she just found abandoned food in the snow, finders keepers right. This excuse gives the chieftain a massive headache as she explains that is their refrigerator. But Seiu doubles down, saying it smelled rotten anyway, so she thought it was trash, a truly galaxy brain defense. She then pulls out the puppy dog eyes, apologizing because she was just so hungry. Our boy, however, latches onto that rotten detail, suddenly looking very serious, as she explains it had a weird, bad smell like expired supermarket food. So Twin Tails decides to investigate, poking the giant meat with a small scanner, and gets an immediate deadly poison detected. Warning: this food was a trap for someone else. Twin Tails drops the bombshell that the tribe's entire food supply was poisoned, and the chieftain realizes this is why her people have been getting sick. We see the grim aftermath, with many of her tribe already down for the count. It also explains why her warriors were so weak, getting slaughtered by other players. Meanwhile, Seiu is still in the background, happily chowing down on the evidence. Our boy grabs her, desperately trying to make her spit out the toxic snack, but she just puffs out her cheeks, refusing to part with her precious meal. And with a look of pure ecstasy, she swallows the whole thing. She immediately collapses, and for a second it looks like she is actually done for. But nope, she just evolved her poison resistance because of course she did. Elsewhere, we cut to a new human base under construction in the dark ice field, where two new characters report to their boss deep underground. They are admitting failure to a guy in some seriously over-the-top golden armor. This golden leader is looking at a holographic map planning their expansion. His subordinate tries to explain the target area is overrun by zombies they cannot beat. But Golden Boy does not care, declaring the entire world is for humans only. This scene then shifts to a dense, ominous place called the Thorn Forest, where a team of workers is rappelling down into a massive chasm. Inside, it is a full-blown mining operation with people hauling heavy carts, and a very buff woman in a red dress warns them to keep quiet unless they want to attract monsters. This buff woman in red carefully navigates the dark cavern, while her partner, a guy in a red jacket, asks if she has kept them hidden from the zombies. She reports that some other lord is keeping the undead busy, so they are totally in the clear. But he just smirks, revealing he used a couple of idiots as bait to clear their path. Their mission is to open a portal and flood the dark ice field with new human players, and their secret weapon is a custom-made virus that targets all mutant monsters. His grand plan is total monster extinction within a month, very subtle. Just then, the miners below them finally break through the rock, striking something that makes one of them absolutely light up. He yells that they have reached the dark ice field's permafrost layer, mission accomplished. Except a giant blue vortex immediately opens and sucks them all into oblivion. This entire mining crew panics, getting dragged into the swirling abyss, so much for a payday. This portal then erupts from the ground in the middle of the Thorn Forest, startling a bunch of local zombies who were just trying to do some manual labor. This disturbance is immediately felt by a new girl in some very spiky purple armor, who pinpoints the chaos coming from the west side of the forest. She sends her own monstrous underlings to investigate the situation, seeing this as the perfect opportunity to make a name for herself. Her boss praises her, offering any reward she wants, and she gets an idea. With a very confident smile, she decides she will not be holding back at all. Back with our boy, who is so cold he is wondering if zombies can even get sick. This whole crew finally makes it to a lone cabin in the ice field, where Siyu plays the role of a very creepy nurse announcing the doctor is in, promptly scaring the soul right out of a patient on the floor. This cybernetic doctor is barely hanging on, desperately reaching for a dropped syringe, but just as his fingers brush against it, our boy grabs him, trying to snap him out of his delirium. Miraculously, the guy pulls through, looking incredibly relieved to be alive, then suddenly rips his shirt off and flexes, bragging that he just invented an antibody. What a recovery. He credits a very confused Siyu because her poison snack was the key ingredient. Turns out the poison was a supervirus created by the witch of the new human faction, a rival scientist with some seriously questionable ethics, who apparently went behind his back to get her genocidal plan approved. This means the entire Titan tribe was just a giant petri dish for her experiment. Suddenly, a loud crash from outside puts everyone on high alert, and the chieftain Amir just collapses as the virus takes hold. They quickly prep the new antibody, hoping it is not too late to save her. Our boy is baffled, asking how he possibly made a cure that fast. So the doc reveals Siyu also brought back a little girl who was basically a living mother cell for the mutant gene. It all ties back to an energy core they found, an offering to a god that seems to be the source of all the mutants. This cybernetic doc explains they were all just randomly teleported here, which gets our boy thinking about finding more energy cores to understand the mutations, and he has a sudden, wide-eyed realization. Amir confirms there is a core right in her territory, exactly what he needs. This scene then cuts to the massive, misty thorn forest, where a squad of monster girls are making a very ungraceful landing. Their purple-armored leader quickly spots their target below, and the whole team touches down with a dramatic, ground-shaking thud. They have found a bizarre, giant ice crystal just sitting in the middle of the woods. She touches it, confirming it is frozen solid, truly groundbreaking analysis. Her bandaged companion notes the hole it came from is unnaturally clean. While a stitched-up brawler wonders if a mutant ice tiger is to blame, this bandaged woman doubts it, thinking their boss already took care of that whole family. One wants to smash it, the other wants to report back, a classic tactical disagreement. Watching from the trees, the red-jacketed guy from the mining op decides to see what happens. He is just relieved these zombies are not the ones behind this weird ice storm. His buff partner urges a retreat, but he wants to watch the show first. And the stitched-up zombie is more than happy to provide, winding up a massive punch. She unleashes a devastating blow right into the side of the crystal, and with a triumphant yell, she actually starts to crack it. Her punch backfires spectacularly, flash freezing her entire arm solid, and the frost instantly spreads, trapping her whole squad in its icy grip, turning the brawler into a zombie sickle, completely immobilized. This whole team is paralyzed, realizing they are in some very deep trouble. Watching from the trees, the red-jacketed guy sees a golden opportunity. He and his crew swarm out of the woods, ordering the zombies captured alive. And just like that, the monster girls are tied up and taken prisoner. Their new captor plans to use them as bait to draw out the rest of their kind. He leaves his new prizes with the grunts, feeling pretty pleased with himself. But then his buff partner suddenly collapses, writhing in agony. She tries to play it off as just tripping, but she is clearly not okay. Turns out a zombie fed her a goo worm, and it is about to kill her from the inside. Her only hope now is to somehow send a message through the parasite. Meanwhile, back at the cabin, Amir is recovering outside with the team. Our boy asks her directly if there is an energy core in the ice field. This doc chimes in, explaining the cores were ancient offerings to some god, and Amir confirms it, saying her tribe calls them holy stones from their legends. Those legends show her ancestors sacrificing the stones to a winged deity, but when the stones ran low, a warrior named Gyuka found the very last one, and instead of sacrificing it, he forged it into a sword to kill their god. So Gyuka tried to kill their god with the sword, but totally failed. And the god's response was a 1,000-year blizzard across the whole ice field. This storm basically became a giant prison, trapping everyone inside, and that is why her tribe has been stuck there for millennia. She points out they were trapped until he showed up. So our boy asks the obvious question, how did they get in then? Amir reveals the new humans also just recently breached the barrier, when suddenly one of her tribe members runs in screaming for help, pointing out that someone named Ika is in trouble. Elsewhere, the purple-armored girl gets a whiff of something familiar, her seniors sent. This message is coming through her pet mutant goo worm, a mother bug, and she realizes her captured squad sent the message. She is not happy. With a terrifying grin, she vows to make the new humans pay for this. This girl and her bug are now officially on the warpath. Her entire monster cavalry mobilizes, charging through the forest. Meanwhile, the red-jacketed guy gloats to his prisoner about his brilliant plan, using the captured zombies as monster repellent while they march on her home. Back with his crew, the buff woman feels the parasite's pain fade. The message got through. Just then, the ground starts shaking violently, throwing the humans into chaos. And Red Jacket looks up, wondering if the damn storm is following them. Karma's a bit fast today. One of Red Jacket's crew points in sheer panic, trying to get his attention, because a massive glowing insectoid monster is descending right on top of them. This entire human squad freezes, realizing their day just got monumentally worse, and their brilliant tactical response is to scream monster and run for their lives. Seeing the perfect distraction, the captured monster girls decide it is time to bolt, but Red Jacket tries to rally his troops, yelling at them to stand and fight. His whole team then unloads a massive volley of energy blasts at the bug, and the attack lands dead on, engulfing the creature in a huge fireball. For a brief, beautiful moment, they actually think they might have won. But of course it was useless. The bug emerges without a single scratch. So it is back to the original plan, screaming and running away in terror. And who is riding this kaiju but the purple-armored girl looking smug as hell, who taunts the humans, letting them know there is absolutely no escape. Meanwhile, her escaped squad is already talking about leaving some guy named Fengxi to die, as the bandaged one mentions a terrifying thing at the forest's edge they need to check out. Hearing this, the purple-armored leader decides that sounds way more interesting. So her bug mount carries her straight to that giant, mysterious ice crystal from before. With a wicked smile, she unleashes her own swarm of metal-eating beetles too, which immediately crawl all over the ice, getting to work. And using her shared bug vision, she sees something inside that she cannot believe is real. Through her bug vision, she sees a massive dragon pinned by a glowing sword. This beast is trapped inside, roaring in absolute agony. This psychic feedback hits her hard, leaving her totally stunned by the vision. Meanwhile, back at the village, the Titans are getting slaughtered by invaders. One of the warriors desperately tries to hold the line, so our boy and the doc rush in, ordering the antibody for everyone. But the main gate just gets blown wide open. As the witch's elite soldiers lead the charge, ready to finish the job, they quickly start injecting the cure into the fallen Titans, and the antibody kicks in, causing a massive golden glow. Beams of light erupt from the village. This is no subtle cure. This doc is fascinated, watching their bodies start to mutate, reverting to more primal beast-like forms in a full-on atavism. He is absolutely thrilled, realizing the Titans are actually evolved beastmen. Our boy just stands there with the bandaged zombie, watching it all unfold. Everyone braces as the assault on the gate intensifies, while the doc explains they evolved, losing their beast forms over time. And now this virus is just reversing the whole process. What a great day for science. This gate finally gives way under the relentless attack. In come the new human soldiers, shields up and ready for a fight. One of the witch's elites dodges a storm of blasts, realizing she is totally outnumbered, because the newly reverted Titans are just tearing through the new human grunts. Elsewhere, another elite gets tangled up with some giant, angry-looking worm monsters. And one of the worms makes a quick meal out of a soldier. Yikes. Surrounded, the elite admits they cannot hold the line against these things much longer. But Amir rallies her now beastly tribe, calling them all to battle. Breaking free, the captured elite unleashes some serious firepower on the worms, and her counterattack is a massive energy wave that just vaporizes the enemy soldiers. Meanwhile, the Titans are still transforming, getting even more feral and powerful. Watching the chaos, the mecha girl wonders where all these invaders even came from. She steels herself, clearly not planning on backing down, and that is when Amir takes to the sky, spreading her massive wings. Suddenly, a new winged fighter joins the battle, raining down purple energy feathers. Below, the mecha girl looks up, caught right in the middle of the deadly barrage. This newcomer, a white-haired guy with tentacle wings, orders the final push to drive them out. He dives right into the thick of the new human forces, his tentacles whipping through their ranks like a blender, and just one sweep from him clears a huge chunk of the battlefield. But as he lands, he feels something is off. Killing these guys feels weird. Puzzled, he notes their strange deaths as another elite with a giant hammer appears. This winged fighter looks up, completely shocked by what he is seeing. His hammer-wielding partner yells that the invaders are trying to retreat. But as she grabs one, it just glitches into blue pixels. They are not real, and the winged guy finally understands what has been bothering him. Elsewhere, a guy in gold armor gets the bad news. His clone army just got wiped out. His scientist partner is just annoyed their secret weapons were discovered so quickly. Gold Armor explains they were just illusions based on player data, not actual soldiers, and the scientist is already thinking about upgrades. This failure is just data to her. But then Gold Armor spots something on the monitor that stops him cold. It is our boy's zombie crew now inside the dark ice field, which means they must have an energy core, and now he is very interested. Meanwhile, in that very ice field, a campfire roars against the endless snow, surrounded by a whole tribe of giant horned women trying to stay warm, and one of them looks down curiously at some very, very small visitors. This bandaged fighter from our boy's squad tosses him something, telling him to get on, as the giantess holds him in her palm, asking what his plan is. Another titan explains to her that this tiny guy just saved their entire tribe, so for his heroic efforts they are making him their new master. Talk about a promotion. This whole tribe kneels, and our boy is just thinking this is a bit much. He has even got a new crown, and he is panicking, wondering who the hell brought his main account here. Elsewhere, Gold Armor stands watch over his domain, deep within the ominous and sprawling thorn forest. This purple-armored girl is back at that giant ice crystal, boasting about her newly developed metal-eating beetles, and unleashes her swarm to see what is inside the cave. Her bugs immediately get to work chewing on the ancient ice, cracking the massive structure with alarming speed, until one of them finally breaks all the way through, which wakes up something absolutely enormous inside. A massive, furious dragon glares at the tiny invaders, letting out a roar that shakes the entire mountain, then unleashes a devastating blast of icy breath. This whole swarm gets caught in a freezing vortex, as the dragon tries to flash freeze them all into oblivion. Back with our boy, the whole tribe sees the chaos, and the little girl calls it the dragon god, leaving the kid to wonder what kind of mess he has stumbled into now, when a golden blur suddenly rockets out of the mountain. He immediately gives chase, trying to snag it with an energy whip, but the little dragon thing is just way too fast to catch. And just then a quest pops up: tame the ultimate boss of the mountain. Oh, is that all? A white-haired guy appears, realizing our boy is impersonating him and heading for the dragon god. Gold Armor confirms our boy's location, looking way too pleased with himself, but his scientist partner holograms in, telling him to hold on. She warns him there is a massive energy signature out there, so going alone is a terrible idea. Looking annoyed, Gold Armor reluctantly agrees to wait. He figures they will just let our boy's team lead them to the prize and watch the chaos unfold. Meanwhile, the giantess tribe has escorted our boy to the foot of the divine mountain, where their leader explains the mountain is sacred and absolutely off-limits, so they will just act as his personal security detail and guard the entrance for him. With his new bouncers on duty, our boy and his squad head on up the path. This trek up the mountain is brutal, and the snowstorm is only getting worse. His bandaged companion is shivering, clearly not dressed for the occasion, so the mecha girl offers to be a personal space heater, heating function fully engaged. This bandaged girl takes her up on that offer a little asterisk too enthusiastically, leaving our boy to just stand there and watch this whole awkward display. When suddenly the hooded girl picks up on a strange sound approaching, and a whole stampede of demonic-looking mountain beasts comes charging at them. This winged titan swoops in, grabbing our boy and lifting him to safety. From above, they realize the monsters are not attacking, they are fleeing for their lives, which means whatever's up there is terrifying, and our boy knows the dragon god is the cause. Their path is blocked by a massive magical seal, a one-way keep-out curse. And the real white-haired guy shows up, clearly annoyed and looking for a way through. His hooded companion starts glowing with power since the AI says there is no record of this curse, so she just decides to brute force it, unleashing a massive energy blast. This rest of the squad is just floored by this insane power display, as her supercharged fist slams right into the magical barrier. With a confident look, she watches the ancient seal start to shatter. And then she just punches a hole straight through the damn thing. Her teammates cannot believe it, calling her Professor Jeong in total awe, and she just brushes it off, saying she barely even tried. What a flex. With the curse gone, the mecha girl says it is time to head inside, but the white-haired leader suddenly tells everyone to stop. He realizes our boy's crew is also heading this way, and their absence smells like a trap. So he leaves the professor on guard duty just in case of an ambush. This remaining trio then ventures deeper into the mountain, and as they explore the cave, he picks up on a strange sound. They are suddenly swarmed by glowing green insects, and he immediately recognizes these bugs. They are the metal-eating beetles from that purple-armored girl, which means she is here too. This mecha girl points out they can just follow the swarm like a creepy, glowing GPS. Following the bug trail, the trio ventures deeper into the mountain's caves, when the white-haired guy suddenly stops, sensing an immense power ahead. This metal-eating beetles have found their target, the dragon god itself, and he screams a warning as the dragon's gaze locks right onto them. A massive pillar of light just erupts from the ground, swallowing them whole, sending them tumbling through some weird, disorienting void space. And the leader lands hard, finding himself in a massive, ornate chamber, completely alone and with absolutely no idea where his team went. He turns around and finds a giant, fancy coffin, because of course he does, and immediately starts apologizing to whoever's inside, blaming the dragon for the intrusion. But then he spots some intricate carvings on the lid. It is a warrior riding a dragon, and the whole scene feels oddly familiar. Before it clicks, this is the legendary Titan chieftain from the old stories. This carvings tell the whole epic tale of the chieftain's life and his great deeds, ending with his defeat in a final battle and his eternal rest in this tomb. This gives him a brilliant idea. The chieftain's holy sword must be in there too. He tries to pry the lid open, but quickly realizes it is not budging an inch. Then he spots more text, revealing the sword was entrusted to the dragon for safekeeping. So the big angry lizard outside is actually the key to the ultimate prize. And then reality hits. He has no idea where the dragon is or his team. Great plan. Back in the tomb, the white-haired guy finds one of the metal-eating beetles. He figures he can just follow it since it'll lead him right to the dragon. With a new plan, he sprints after his creepy little guide, which leads him straight back to the dragon god. Mission accomplished. This dude gets way too cocky, taunting the giant lizard he just ran from. But the dragon's glare immediately wipes that smirk off his face. Its eye flashes and the beetle gets zapped into some weird dimension, sending him tumbling right along with it through a psychic vortex. He lands in a crystal maze, realizing the dragon's eyes are a trap, but he is not giving up, telling his bug to start another search. This dragon god just stares, completely unimpressed by this pest. Eyes glowing with pure unadulterated annoyance. So this genius decides to put on a blindfold, thinking he has outsmarted the ancient magical beast. What a plan. This dragon was literally about to let him leave on his own, but now it is just coming to end his whole career. Meanwhile, Professor Jiang is still guarding the entrance, wondering what is taking her teammates so long inside. A strange sound suddenly puts her on high alert, and she spots a tiny figure dropping in for a sneak attack. This purple-armored girl and her companion come crashing down from above. Her friend is clinging on for dear life, screaming about a fear of heights, and they spot Professor Jiang below, yelling for a last-second rescue, which results in them making a brand new crater right in front of her. Professor Jiang just stares down at the heap of failure in the snow, completely unimpressed. She asks why they did not just use the cave, and they immediately blame the dragon god. Her interest is suddenly piqued, asking for a very specific description of the dragon, which makes the bug girl suspicious. How would she know what it looks like? She explains it is like an instinctual memory, an image that just appeared in her head. Shaking it off, the purple-armored girl insists they have to go in and help our boy. So the duo heads into the mountain, leaving Jiang to watch the entrance. Alone again, she is left wondering about the mystery of this ice dragon. When another vision flashes in her mind, a warrior on horseback entering the same cave. Meanwhile, the bandaged girl and mecha girl suddenly appear, asking the other two how they got out, and the purple-haired girl explains they are all trapped in a disorienting maze. She is furious, realizing they followed the path perfectly but somehow ended up right back here, because the dragon god is actively shifting the maze's layout to keep intruders out. Without her metal-eating beetles, she has no idea how they will ever find a way through. But just then, the bandaged girl offers her help, saying she can find the dragon. With a smirk, she boasts that a beastman's senses are way better than some bugs. This purple-armored girl is completely stunned by this beastman's confidence. Meanwhile, we see how the other team got here, their mecha girl running a systems check, while Professor Jiang gives some last-minute instructions at the cave entrance. And the trio heads inside, completely unaware of what is waiting for them. It is the dragon god, and the white-haired leader immediately goes on the offensive, summoning a massive red energy wolf to ride straight into battle, his hands glowing as he channels all his power into the attack. He launches himself through the air like a missile, but the dragon just opens a swirling spatial vortex to stop him cold. His fiery wolf construct slams right into the void. And for a moment, he actually thinks he can brute force his way through, before getting completely sucked into the dragon's trap. This dragon god counters with a massive beam of pure ice energy, creating a blinding vortex where the two attacks collide. His energy beast is instantly flash-frozen in a giant crystal, which then immediately shatters from the overwhelming force. Unimpressed, the dragon tells him his little tricks are completely useless. But the guy lands with a smirk, realizing the teleport has a cooldown. He just needs to be faster time for a new strategy, and he unleashes a furious storm of purple lightning for round 2. This dragon god is actually a little impressed, admitting he is more persistent than she thought, and after underestimating him, she grips her sword. With her power flaring, she declares it is time to get serious, then poses the million-dollar question, are you ready to die? Our boy just smirks, summoning some spiky ice armor of his own, and his speed is so insane it even catches the dragon god off guard. But her power is on another level entirely, blowing right past his defenses. She promises his body is the next thing to get shattered, and our guy finally realizes he is in way over his head. She unleashes a flurry of afterimage attacks, but he spots the pattern. He is forced to leap and weave through the absolute onslaught. But she keeps up the pressure, relentless in her assault. He tries to counter with a supercharged ice fist, continuing the deadly dance of dodges and strikes, as her blade itself crackles with immense energy, and she finally lands a clean hit, shattering his arm guard. Despite the blow, he is still coming at her. What a pest. But in that moment, he notices something weird about her energy core. Suddenly, he is trapped in some kind of purple energy vortex. And she is not impressed, telling him his little tricks will not work. He is trapped, but a brilliant, terrible idea pops into his head. Reasoning if she can use that core to power up, so can he. This crystal morphs into a massive psionic blade ready for a rematch. This sudden power spike immediately gets the dragon god's attention, and she draws her own sword, not about to be outdone. Our boy channels his own energy into the stolen weapon. And the two warriors clash in a flash of purple and blue light. Their blades meet with a deafening crack, leaving her completely stunned that he can match her power. His strike sends her flying, disarming her in one clean blow. With his blade at her throat, he coldly declares his victory. She just tells him to get on with it if he is going to kill her. But he is too busy being a creep, saying she is not worthy of his name. Just then, Professor Jiang appears, and the dragon calls her Fafna. Jiang herself is confused, wondering where that name even came from. While the dragon god bursts into tears, calling her master, she immediately starts tattling, accusing our boy of being a big meanie. At that moment, the rest of the squad arrives, totally lost, and the dragon immediately picks a fight, calling them her master's ugly pets. Meanwhile, our boy is putting it all together, the chieftain, the coffin, Professor Jiang. This dragon god summons a comically oversized sword to protect her master, and she presents the holy blade to Jiang, a very good dragon girl reporting for duty. But Jiang is just trying to explain she is really not her master. At that moment, the beastman yanks her to safety as Fafnir screams a warning, and the dragon god gets blasted right through the chest with a beam of light. Professor Jiang can only watch, completely stunned by the sudden attack. As a whole storm of golden spears comes raining down from above, courtesy of our boy who is powering up for a big move. He then throws up a massive energy shield to protect his own team, when the chieftain himself appears, complimenting the kid's new power-up. This leaves the bug girl totally baffled by his sudden arrival, while her mecha friend is down on the ground, suit totally disabled. We then cut to a futuristic city glowing brightly at night, until the lights begin to flicker and die across the skyline. On the streets, citizens realize the entire power grid is down, and one of the bug girl's teammates casually notes the power outage mid-snack. Her blonde friend is freaking out because the city's energy core is gone, so the bug girl tunes in with her insected shared vision, confirming our boy just yoinked the city's power source for himself. This blonde just accepts this madness, ready to pass on the new orders. In a high-security prison, the city-wide blackout causes total confusion, and the guards start splitting up to investigate the sudden darkness. Inside one cell, a woman in red casually notes the outage while holding her beaten-up cellmate, but the white-haired guy lights up with a psycho grin. This is his chance. He immediately grabs her by the throat, putting on a great show for any onlookers, leaving her coughing on the floor as he strikes a dramatic, villainous pose. She then fights back, snapping her chains with some very convincing fury, and starts screaming for help, playing the perfect damsel in distress, begging for someone to save her from this big bad man. A guard finally shows up, completely falling for the ruse. Her response is a swift kick right to his unsuspecting face, telling her partner he is free to go now, mission accomplished. He just smirks, praising his most trusted subordinate for the flawless performance. With the guards down, he makes a break for it, leaving her to handle the rest. Meanwhile, back in the snow, our boy is facing a storm of golden arrows, and his ice shield is barely holding up. He knows just defending is a losing game, so he activates a new skill, Elasticity, creating a wobbly energy shield, which hilariously just bounces the arrows right off it, sending the entire volley straight back at the golden armored attacker. This guy just casually bats his own arrows away, completely unfazed by the counter. He sees his chance as his teammates are sent tumbling through the air, but the golden armored guy summons a massive energy symbol to crush him. It comes crashing down in a blinding explosion. Our boy barely manages to block, and just in time his backup arrives, jumping right into the fight. A warning comes just as two fireballs lock onto the purple-haired mecha girl. But her suit's auto defenses kick in, throwing up a last-second shield. From her new vantage point, she spots her opponents waiting on the ground below, kicking off an absolute free-for-all of crisscrossing laser fire. Watching from the sidelines, a mysterious woman in bandages decides she has to intervene, realizing our boy only got knocked down because he was trying to save her. She rushes to his side, pleading with him to survive, when a comically oversized sword suddenly slams into the snow nearby, followed by a woman in heels who casually strolls right up to it. This new arrival, some kind of scientist, calmly identifies the sword's power source, leaving everyone on the battlefield completely baffled by yet another player joining the chaos. With the objective apparently complete, she gives the signal to retreat, and the Golden Warrior makes a run for it, firing a parting shot as he goes. His teammates are left shouting that they have stolen the energy core, but our boy is already back on his feet, determined not to let them get away. Meanwhile, Fafnir is still on the ground, seriously wounded from that earlier sneak attack. This bandaged woman holds the dying Fafnir, watching the enemy get away, but our boy calls off the chase, deciding to save the dragon first. He takes her, wondering if his system storage has a fix for a giant hole in the chest. A brilliant, disgusting idea comes to mind: the Slug of Mending. He scrolls through his inventory, finding the little guy despite a power debuff. Then he pulls out the world's slimiest-looking emergency medical kit, and with a quick toss, he slaps the healing slug right onto her wound. This little guy immediately gets to work, glowing with some serious regenerative power. His companion is stunned as the wound closes up in seconds, while our boy gives the slug a thank you pat, calling it a snot slug, which it does not appreciate. With Fafnir back on her feet, the team regroups as the thieves vanish over the horizon. His teammates are fuming, realizing they let the bad guys get away. This purple-haired mecha girl cannot believe how fast those two new enemies were. Reporting the bad news: the new humans are getting stronger and they have the energy core. Our boy, however, just calmly tells her not to worry, he has got it figured out. He connects their power to an unstable enhancement potion he'd heard about before, then drops the real bomb: the energy core they stole was a fake. This understandably leaves the entire squad completely speechless. He explains that he noticed Fafnir's sword was not powered by the core he had, because the glow on her blade was totally different from the real deal he'd already palmed. He explains the core he is holding is a shrunken version of the original, theorizing it only unleashes its full power for its true master, which is why Fafnir's sword only lit up when Professor Jiang arrived. His Mechapel then asks the million-dollar question: where's the real one? And just like that, the real Fafnir appears, casually announcing she has it. This whole team is stunned she is alive, which she confirms with a smirk. She explains her master gave her the holy sword, but she made a decoy for safety, hiding the real one away while she was in a long slumber. Turns out the ultimate safe deposit box was her own body. And as the designated master, Professor Cheon gets a weird glowing hand tattoo. She reaches out and a golden blade starts pulling right out of Fafnir's chest, leaving Cheon totally clueless about what she is even grabbing. With a massive flash of light, she yanks the entire holy sword free. And now the professor is officially the wielder of a legendary weapon. Meanwhile, back at the new human base, the bad guys are having a meeting, and the Golden Warrior realizes he got played, crushing the fake core in his fist. His boss appears from the shadows, not exactly thrilled with this performance review. This golden guy immediately starts groveling for a second chance, but the boss just raises a hand, looking like he is about to delete an employee. As the useless fake core shatters into nothing, this boss tells his golden-armored flunky it is time for a little strengthening, and considers if shoving 2 energy cores into him will fix the incompetence. Meanwhile, a massive pillar of light erupts from the snowy mountains, as our boy leads his crew out of the newly thawed ice field. He shields his eyes from the sudden, blinding sunlight, having successfully melted the entire frozen wasteland. A group of local beastwomen immediately start worshipping him as the god of the sun, which leaves him completely baffled since he was just trying to steal a sword. They explain that by removing the sword, he broke the curse and brought back the light, and he just soaks it all in, totally ready to accept his new divine status. With the main quest finally over, the team sets up camp for the night. A system notification finally pops up with his rewards, earning a side-eye for its terrible timing. He checks the loot and is immediately salty about the measly 50k gold payout, but then he spots a special reward, a teleportation anchor point. He promptly activates it, setting up a fast travel spot right in the village. This new network will let his whole faction zip between locations, a major upgrade. His teammate is thrilled, asking if they can head back to the city now. But our boy smirks, saying he's got one more thing to do first. Elsewhere, some gamer is losing his mind because a new zone just opened up in his game, and the forums explode with news that the Bio-Wasteland beta area is now live for everyone. A whole squad of players charges in, totally sure they have got this, dropping right into the monsters' lair to get their loot on. Instead of monsters, they find a wall of laser cannons aimed right at their faces. And red targeting beams immediately light up the entire raid party, which proceeds to get absolutely vaporized in a storm of laser fire. One of them panics, realizing the cannons have perfect aim, a real oops moment. Meanwhile, our boy is getting thanked by the Beast Woman for setting up this very effective shelter. He is just crying his eyes out over the 20k gold he spent on his new security system. Looking at his system log, he admits the investment was worth it for deleting cannon fodder. With his new base secured, he decides it is finally time to head back to the city. He's also got 2 new energy cores to stash somewhere safe, so the Beast Women fire up the teleportation circle he set up earlier, and in a flash of blue light, they are zapped straight to the city-state of Hope. Our boy arrives with a huge grin, ready for a hero's welcome, only to find his entire home base is currently a raging inferno. His face just says it all: why is my house on fire? After the flames are finally put out, the real story begins. His subordinate Yuding is in tears, apologizing for failing him completely, explaining she captured Ghost Eye and his partner from the prison break, but they used the blackout to escape and torch the place, leaving her to take the blame. An old-timer shows up, realizing the city-wide blackout is because our boy stole the power core, and Xiaogu just flashes a sheepish grin, basically admitting, yep, that was me. He immediately comforts Yuding, telling her the whole mess was not her fault at all, even praising her for capturing Ghost Eye despite the whole they escaped and burned the place down thing. This unexpected kindness just makes her burst into tears, completely overwhelmed, so she launches herself at him for a massive, grateful hug. A new horned woman appears, looking down on them for using a dragon crystal stone as a common battery. Our boy mid-embrace is like, "Dragon what now? You mean the energy core?" She explains that its true name is the dragon crystal stone forged from the planet's own energy veins, which is basically a polite way of saying it is a chunk of the world's soul. This most abundant source, she reveals, is her homeland, the Isle of Mist, home of the dragons, a place where these powerful stones were first discovered and fought over. Xiaogu has absolutely no clue what she is talking about, drawing a complete blank. But the old-timer recognizes the name from ancient legends of a kingdom of gods. Right on cue, the system drops a new quest: go to the Isle of Mist, good luck figuring out how. He immediately decides to check it out, asking his crew who is coming along for the ride, and Yuding's hand shoots up, volunteering to follow him anywhere. This purple-haired mecha girl has to pass since her titan is still seriously damaged. Deciding instead to stay behind with the bandaged woman to study her mysterious body. With the team set, our boy makes the final call on who stays and who goes. Yuding is absolutely thrilled, thinking she is finally getting some alone time with her senior. But her entire world shatters when Xiaogu invites Fafnir to come along for the ride. Professor Jiang convinces Fafnir to go, since she is the only one who can actually guide them. Fafnir happily agrees to whatever her master says, completely crushing Yuding's soul in the process. Then the old-timer scientist muscles his way in, demanding to join for research purposes. And while Xiaogu welcomes the extra brainpower, Yuding is literally chewing on a handkerchief in despair. With the new travel squad assembled, they board a ship and set sail for the Isle of Mist. They wave goodbye to the crew staying behind, who wish them well from the snowy shore. As the ship pulls away, a tiny Chiba Yuding sends a tearful farewell to her beloved Xiaogu. Aboard the ship, a new cat-eared scientist immediately starts cozying up to Xiaogu, talking about her inventions, already sizing up Fafnir as the competition and deciding she needs to make the first move. Xiaogu quickly puts two and two together. She is the one who created the metal-eating swarm that attacked Fafnir. This revelation leaves Fafnir stunned, realizing her new teammate was the one who almost ate her alive. This cat girl gets right in Fafnir's face, basically saying, "We are co-workers now, get over it." Fafnir, however, accepts the challenge, vowing to work even harder to win Xiaogu's favor. This comeback leaves her rival absolutely fuming and speechless. So she grabs Xiaogu, not at all happy that this dragon is horning in on her territory. This two immediately start fighting over him, with Fafnir dropping the bomb that she wants to have his dragon babies. And to prove her point, she plants a big all kiss right on his cheek. This, of course, sends the cat girl into a state of pure, unadulterated rage. Not to be outdone, the cat girl declares a kissing war and dives right in, which immediately escalates into a full-on tackle. Personal space is optional now. Leaving Xiaogu covered in lipstick, wondering if this much happiness is a death flag. Fafnir and Yuding just stare in absolute shock at this new level of chaos. But the whole love triangle gets interrupted when the ship is rocked by a massive jolt. A giant sea monster attacks and the old scientist helpfully explains they are in its territory. So Fafnir and her new rival immediately team up to fight it, blasting the creature with a huge combined attack. After that little warm-up, the crew realizes they have entered seriously dangerous waters. A map shows their long journey fighting off sea beasts for days on end. And just as they get close, a thick, ominous fog starts rolling in. Xiaogu asks Fafnir if this means they have arrived, but she looks absolutely terrified, confirming they're close but insisting she cannot go with them any further. His danger sense starts tingling like crazy. Right before a massive energy beam shoots out of the mist, nearly hitting the ship. A booming voice calls Fafnir in exile, furious she brought outsiders to their home, and a massive black dragon emerges to confront a smaller silver one. These two dragons face off in the sky, making it clear this is not a tourist-friendly island. Xiaogu, reading the room perfectly for once, suggests maybe they should just go back. But the cat girl steps forward, totally ready for a fight, saying they just need to win. Xiaogu throws up a hand, desperately trying to stop the fight before it starts, telling the cat girl that jumping in will only make Fafnir's situation worse. And looking up at the dragon-on-dragon stare-down, he suggests they do not act rashly. His eyes then lock onto Fafnir's dragon form, noticing it has been mutated by a virus. So he tries to de-escalate, announcing they are just here for research, not a fight. This massive black dragon's eye narrows, clearly not buying a single word of it. And just then, two new horned women appear in a swirl of green energy. They inform the crew that their chance to leave peacefully has expired, so now they are prisoners. This invitation leads them straight into a massive cage where they are told to stay put. Xiaogu, ever the opportunist, figures at least they have successfully infiltrated the island. He immediately asks Yuding to send her bugs out for some recon, much to her delight, and she happily unleashes one of her little babies to scout the area. This mechanical bug zips off into the dark, misty landscape to do its work, revealing a sky full of floating islands shrouded in a thick, endless fog. Yuding explains her bugs can navigate via temperature and smell, which is super handy. Spotting a castle that is clear of the mist, Xiaogu tells the bug to fly in and investigate. So the little scout dives down from the rooftops for a closer look, only to get zapped by a powerful energy barrier protecting the castle. This bug gets absolutely fried by the electricity, barely managing to pull back. But its heat sensor spots something inside a window, a round shape, maybe a dragon egg. With the barrier down, Xiaogu orders the bug to slip through the window, and inside it spots their two captors just walking down a hallway. This little drone follows them right into a massive throne room, where a hooded leader learns that outsiders have arrived for the dragon crystal stone. One of the guards immediately wants to execute the intruders, calling Fafnir a traitor, but the leader shuts that down. They have to wait for the king's decision. Turns out the king is in the middle of a revival, and the whole situation is looking dire, when suddenly the leader's eyes snap open, sensing something is wrong. A blast of purple lightning shoots out, aimed right at the tiny spy, which gets absolutely stomped into scrap metal. Well, that was a short mission. Back in the cell, Yuding screams as the psychic link to her bug is violently severed. She quickly explains her scout got fried but managed to overhear some key intel, while Fafnir just sits in the corner looking completely defeated by it all. Yuding reports that the Dragon King is supposedly dead but also being revived, which makes zero sense until she clarifies that dragons do not really die, they reincarnate. Apparently, they just revert back into eggs and hatch again, completely wiping their memories. This old scientist is having the time of his life, furiously scribbling notes on this new discovery. He then asks Fafnir how old she is, and she politely tells him it is none of his business. At that moment, the crew realizes they are not the only prisoners in this dungeon, as a chained woman in a cage above them reveals the king's been missing for 100 years. That chained prisoner from before spots Fafnir, asking what the hell she is doing here. But a finger goes to her lips as she just shushes her, a very ominous glint in her eyes, holding her chains with a terrifying grin and promising they will all be free soon. Our boy immediately gets a bad feeling, wondering what soon really means. Just then, a huge crystal shield pops up around the crew as Xiaogu yells for cover, because a giant dragon is absolutely torching one of the floating islands outside. Its resulting explosion is huge, but the crystal barrier actually holds. Turns out this is a full-blown civil war as other dragons identify the attackers as rebels. One of the defenders immediately screaming for reinforcements as the sky fills with enemies. And would you look at that, the chained prisoner is now free, welcoming her rebel buddies. Her chains shattering in a burst of energy as she orders her forces to take everyone down. Meanwhile, back on the snowy continent, the B team is just chilling, carrying fruit around. Some of the locals approaching a massive door clearly marked "Keep Out." Within the lab, the purple-haired mecha girl is deep in her research, analyzing the local cyborgs. And she is absolutely floored by how advanced the bandaged woman's titan body is. Touching its hand, she fantasizes about bringing this game-changing tech back home. Suddenly, we are at a bank robbery with cops surrounding the building, where the lead robber threatens the hostages, daring the cops to make a move. His masked buddy confirms the gold is packed, so they are all set to make a run for it. But the cops get a wild order, let them go because a corporate heir is inside and the company will cover the losses. This lead cop is forced to order his team to fall back, totally against his will. So the robber smirks, grabbing a terrified little girl as a human shield. His brilliant plan is to take the kid and just dump her later, a real class act. Powerless, the cops can only watch as the criminals make their clean getaway. This little girl is absolutely petrified, silently begging for someone to help, her eyes just pleading for a hero to save her. Suddenly, a woman in a white dress sprints right past the police line, diving in to shield the child with her own body. This heroic act just pisses off the robber, who takes aim at her instead. This aftermath is brutal. The woman, a pianist, had to have both arms amputated. Now fitted with prosthetics, she laments that she will never be able to play again. A single tear rolls down her cheek, a picture of pure despair. But back at the lab, the Catgirl scientist has a flash of inspiration, realizing she could connect the pianist to a mecha titan, letting her play once more. Meanwhile, the bandaged woman treks through a vast, frozen cavern, finally stopping, knowing she has arrived at the right place. Before her lies an ancient tomb, the resting place of her body's original owner. She casually hops on top, deciding to just lie down and see what happens. Getting comfy, she finds the ancient sarcophagus surprisingly pleasant, for a tomb. And elsewhere, a lone, horned figure sits enthroned on a mountain of bodies. A flashback shows a hooded woman terrified by a massive beastman and his tribe, and she is clearly still shaken, remembering that awful moment from a dark cave. A masked being with tentacles introduces himself as a divine messenger, whose idea of a radiant future is him standing on a giant pile of corpses. This memory hits her. This is the monster who nearly annihilated the beastman tribe. After that little genocide, he apparently just vanished without a trace. Back in the present, a new white-haired guy complains about his back while getting a dragon taxi service. His horned companion clarifies they are headed to the pioneer camp, not the rebels. She then gets all flirty, reminding him she was nice enough to save him. Sure you were. They start debating dragon reincarnation, which the guy just sees as practical immortality. But she argues losing your memories is just a prettier form of death. Just then, a rival faction of dragons flies in, demanding true eternal life instead. Their silver-haired leader declares that seeking immortality is a crime against heaven itself. This white-haired guy immediately challenges her, asking who made her the boss of the dragon tribe. His companion smugly explains they follow a Lord Prophet who will decide their future. She reveals the real crisis. Not a single dragon egg has hatched in over 100 years. This silver-haired woman and her ally look grim, knowing they have to take this gamble. They finally arrive at some seriously ominous, crumbling ruins, where the newcomers are presented to a robed leader as potential recruits. And the leader turns around, it is the Prophet, who is also the masked psycho from the flashback. This cyborg dude is absolutely starstruck, calling the Prophet an angel here to deliver a radiant future, while our white-haired guy has a tiny, appropriate panic attack in the corner of the frame. This cyborg then whispers to him, connecting this angel to those weird creatures they ran into before. Recalling how Siyu bit a chunk off one, which led to that whole Titan de-evolution potion fiasco, he is convinced these sinister beings have nothing to do with their glorious Prophet, bless his heart. This Prophet immediately leans in, asking if he is questioning him, and the vibe gets real cold real fast, prompting the cyborg to immediately stammer no, because he'd like to keep his head attached. With his glowing red eyes, the Prophet notes an unpleasant aura on the guy, which is never a good sign. His horned entourage is ready to solve this problem permanently, asking if they should just kill them. But the Prophet waves them off, calling the newcomers pitiful, sad fools not worth the effort. He then launches into a classic villain monologue about how insignificant they are in the grand scheme of things, starting a history lesson with dinosaurs getting wiped out by meteors, all part of some god's plan. Apparently, humanity only got to the top of the food chain by getting a divine power-up, and then naturally they proceeded to trash the entire planet's ecosystem. So this god decided to empower other creatures to restore balance, as one does. This led to a whole host of new, powerful species rising up to challenge humanity's reign. But the arrogant demon tribe, including his horned companion, refused to bow to anyone. Meanwhile, the dragons isolated themselves on floating islands, basically preying on each other, which caused their own extinction crisis. Their eggs just stopped hatching. This prophet concludes his TED Talk by declaring that his followers are the chosen ones, blessed by God's favor. Our boy connects the dots. This god sounds a lot like those angel creatures, so he decides to poke the bear. And he straight up asks the prophet if his god is siding with the mutants over humanity. This horned companion just scoffs, as if humans are not even worthy of being enemies. So the guy goes full troll, calling their god weak for not even being able to take one island, which gets his horned follower absolutely furious because how dare he. But another horned woman chimes in, totally agreeing that their god should get off his throne and help them out. This prophet's only response is a slow, chilling laugh, followed by the classic villain line, "You do not know anything." His loyalist then starts a rant about how the dragon tribe should have conquered the world ages ago, blaming the old king's isolationist policies for their current predicament, staring right at Fafnir. She gets right in Fafnir's face, trying to recruit her back now that the king's line has failed. And Fafnir is clearly struggling with the choice, her eyes wide with conflict. Just then our boy steps in, putting a protective hand on her shoulder, whispering that they should play along and see what this cult is really planning. Taking his cue, Fafnir announces she is willing to rejoin their side. This horned woman is ecstatic, pulling her into a hug and welcoming her home, super convincing. With that settled, the prophet declares he will perform a special ritual for their new convert, which sounds perfectly safe. Suddenly, we are at a new human base, which is currently exploding. Inside, two numbered test subjects are squaring off, one wielding fire and the other ice. And the fire user unleashes a massive inferno down on his opponent. The fight is on. This ice user slams into a massive pillar of fire, a classic elemental showdown. And watching from a catwalk above is a scientist, looking way too calm about this, who smirks, confirming her test subjects have now mastered their powers. Noting that this new method of extracting energy from cores actually works. With a sinister glint, she muses that only the dragons know the true purpose of these cores. As she stares at a man floating in a stasis tube, the dragon's so-called treasure. Her grand plan is to crack that secret so her new humans can finally rival the dragon tribe. Meanwhile, Fafnir wakes up with a big stretch, blissfully unaware of any of this. And on a snowy plain, a tribal warrior with face paint gets into a fighting stance, blocking a nasty-looking ice blade from a full-on combat cyborg, then shattering the weapon with a single powerful kick. Her eyes glow with red energy as she decides to stop holding back, activating her beastification and sprouting some serious claws, before leaping right at the cyborg for the finishing blow. But the robot systems just detect the damage and trigger a defense protocol, instantly flooding the wound with biogel and initiating self-repair. And just like that, it is back in perfect condition, no problem. This cyborg then calls the whole thing off, announcing the experiment is over, giving the now giant beast woman a great work for the sparring session. She then turns to the purple-haired mecha girl, asking for the results of the test. This purple-haired mecha girl is thrilled with the test results. The cyborg's repair time is way faster. And her giant beast woman sparring partner tells her she has earned a good rest. But when the mecha girl asks about going back to the city-state of hope, the beast woman is just confused, leading to a moment of pure deadpan realization from our tech genius, who completely forgot that our boy never actually told her how to get home. Great planning, everyone. Luckily, the beast woman just casually offers her a little flying disc for the trip. So she zips off across the frozen wastes toward the massive Titan tribe base. Inside, it looks like the mecha titans and the local tribe are getting along great. And with everything running smoothly, she decides it is time to head back and check on her own city. That is when a blaring red alert screen pops up, unidentified flying object approaching, as a massive, insect-like battleship descends on them now that the protective snowstorm is gone. On a nearby rooftop, some new villain calling himself the Iron Lord vows to blast the whole place to rubble, and his ship immediately unleashes a massive volley of missiles down on the base. This mecha girl snaps into action, yelling for the emergency defense systems to be activated, and huge energy shields flare to life, just barely holding back the fiery onslaught. Explosions rock the barrier while the Iron Lord cackles, clearly having the time of his life. A different brown-haired commander rallies her own squad of mecha pilots to join the fight, while our purple-haired girl dodges through the chaos, spotting a familiar enemy in the sky. Seeing the absolute swarm of enemy mechs, the commander just calls it real combat practice for her troops, ordering her team to attack in waves and just keep blasting the enemy's defenses. This Iron Lord's ship unleashes a full-blown missile storm, which slams into the base's energy shield in a massive fireball, and the barrier immediately starts to crack under the sheer pressure, prompting the mecha girl to realize their defenses are about to collapse. So she and her squad dive in, activating every last defense system they have. But she is already pushing her own body to its absolute breaking point. Meanwhile, at the city-state of Hope, two hooded figures approach the late-night guards, who turn out to be zombies just finishing their shift, because of course they are. After a quick handoff, the hooded duo just strolls right into the base, revealing themselves as a pair of assassins ready for some serious trouble. A flashback shows them deciding to use the city's chaos to their advantage. But this ghost eye guy has zero intention of just escaping, instead planning to hide and wait for the perfect moment to strike. All his time pretending to be part of the zombie horde is about to pay off, since he knows the real leaders are gone, leaving the place vulnerable, and his partner agrees this is the perfect once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Back in the present, Ghost Eye vows to wipe out every last monster in the city, as the massive blast doors slide open before him, revealing a whole squad of female fighters ready to throw down. And cutting back to Fafnir, she is told her baptism is starting now, looking absolutely horrified. Our boy immediately asks what this baptism involves because it sounds less like a blessing and more like a problem. And the prophet confirms it is a god gene implant, which is just a fancy term for a horrifying infection, confirming his worst fears that they are trying to turn Fafnir into one of those mutant dragons. So he tries to stall for time, suggesting they should all prep a bit before the big ritual, even asking for a place to rest, playing the "We Are New Here" card as hard as he can. This prophet's response is a giant fleshy tentacle to the face, so I guess that is a no on the nap. Our guy instantly summons his own energy armor, blocking the attack just in time, prompting the prophet to casually note that negotiations have broken down, you think. He then goes full monster mode, calling them stubborn heathens for refusing his generous offer of body horror. And a massive explosion rocks the room as their powers collide head-on. Not backing down, our boy charges up a massive energy sphere to counterattack, yelling at Fafnir to stay away from the weird fleshy growths, which is just excellent life advice in general. This prophet is deeply offended, insisting his gross tentacle form is a divine gift from his god. And just then, Fafnir's old friend leaps in to attack our boy from above. But Fafnir is faster, intercepting the blade with her own armored gauntlet, and she declares that this opponent is hers, making her allegiance crystal clear. Her former ally Chuoya is absolutely livid, accusing Fafnir of betraying the dragon tribe all over again. But Fafnir just powers up, declaring that Chuoya and her crew are the real traitors. With that, it is an all-out aerial brawl, with winged warriors clashing across the sky. While the Horn Commander on the ground orders her troops to seize them, completely done with this whole charade, this commander's troops immediately dive in, ready to follow orders, and their target is a new combatant with some seriously impressive braids. She just smirks, announcing she has been holding back for a while now, then unleashes a massive swarm of glowing green bugs because that is a thing. Her little pets immediately overwhelm the winged fighters who were not expecting this at all, but Chuoya just shrugs off a direct hit, her wounds already closing up, as some gross fleshy parasite literally stitches her back together, super hygienic. Fafnir stares in disbelief, completely horrified by this so-called gift, while Chuoya gloats that this is the incredible healing power their god grants. She then tries to sell Fafnir on the same body horror upgrade. What a great friend. Meanwhile, the bug swarm is getting absolutely shredded by the enemy forces, and the bug summoner is not happy about her metal-eating beetles getting wrecked. Yisha realizes they are basically immortal thanks to that mutant virus, calling it trouble, just as the prophet goes full monster preacher, calling him an insignificant ant. He tells Yisha to stop his meaningless struggle and just accept the divine infection already. Suddenly, a blade slices right through one of the prophet's fleshy tentacles, but he still manages to grab Yisha, prompting Fafnir to scream his name. That is when Fafnir goes full dragon mode, blasting the enemy squad with a volley of energy spikes, while Yisha, caught in a green energy field, tells her to escape without him. But Fafnir is not leaving, instead intercepting Chuoya's attack for a one-on-one duel. Fafnir and Chuoya are locked in a full-on dragon dogfight across the night sky. While down below, the prophet's troops combine their powers into a massive elemental attack, which triggers a flashback to Fafnir arriving at this creepy castle, asking if she is finally welcome. And the welcome committee gets straight to the point. They need her blood to awaken their king. Yisha immediately puts it together, asking if this so-called king is that weird egg they saw earlier, prompting the robed figure to explain that the whole tribe is infected with a nasty virus. And their king's been asleep for 100 years while his people get eaten from the inside out. Great leadership. It turns out only Fafnir, the exile, has the pure blood needed to wake him, since everyone else is corrupted.